Chapter 2236. The 5 leaders of the Sacred Beast clan were filled with rage. The Netherworld Palace had gone too far. Under the fury, cities were destroyed one after another. There was no need to do anything. Just a small movement, and the city would be turned into ruins. The forces in the cities were in big trouble. Those who were fast were still fine, but those who were slow were crushed to pieces by the sacred beasts. They were too furious. The sacred beasts knew that they were from the Sacred Beast clan, but they still dared to capture them. The sacred beasts were known for their bad tempers, and they rarely entered the human world. The Netherworld Palace's actions had completely enraged the sacred beasts. After the anger, the sacred beasts brought destruction. Nothing could stop the sacred beasts' wrath. The Netherworld Palace's branches were torn to pieces. The half-step sacred beasts were also unlucky. They were either killed with a slap or eaten in one bite. The Netherworld Palace had suffered great losses in a short time. Wei Shuanglin could only hold on. He had to bring the sacred beasts back, no matter what. As long as he could control the sacred beasts, no matter how many half-step sacred beasts died, he could make up for the loss. I underestimated the sacred beasts' power. Lin Fei rushed to the mining area while paying attention to the Netherworld realm's movements. The more people come, the better. Once the seal is broken, it will be very interesting. Lin Fei wasn't so kind as to give the sacred beasts to the Netherworld Palace. He only needed to seal the sacred beasts, and Lin Fei could break the seal with just a thought. Master, there are 6 or 7 sacred beasts from the Heaven Wasteland domain. Do you want to see them? Is there a problem? With 6 or 7 sacred beasts gathered, Lin Fei didn't dare to be careless, even if they were the clones of the sacred beasts. They won't be able to sense it. That's good. The scene changed, and he arrived at the border of the barren area. At the border, there was an expert of the Heaven Wasteland Palace who was vomiting blood. He was standing in front of a middle-aged man in silver armor. Elder Yen, young master, died a pitiful death. You must avenge him, Ing Huaming said angrily. The Netherworld Palace has gone too far this time. Ing Huaming was the early-stage Sacred Beasts Realm expert who was vomited blood by Lin Fei. Elder Yen had a very high status in the Heaven Desolate Palace. At the same time, he was also a member of the young master's faction. Now that the young master was dead, it would definitely be troublesome. As soon as he found out about the situation, he rushed over. The matter was too big. He had no choice but to come. The Netherworld Palace has completely shed all pretense of cordiality with our Heaven Wasteland Palace. Elder Yan's face darkened as he pondered how to minimize the impact of this matter. If this matter was not resolved well, it would be difficult for him to explain himself to the Sacred Master. If his luck was bad, he would only be able to sit on the bench in the Heaven Desolate Palace from now on, and this was not something he wanted to see. Elder Yen, 5 leaders from the Holy Beast race are chasing after Wei Shuanglin from the Nether Palace. Do you think we should take this opportunity to strike? Ing Huaming said cautiously. Elder Yan's eyes lit up. The Nether Palace has no choice but to pay a price when facing a dozen overlord experts. Lin Fei not only saw it clearly, but also heard it clearly through the surveillance. Elder Yen led his men in the direction of the Holy Beast race. Lin Fei knew that the Nether Palace would lose a few overlord experts this time. Even the avatar of an overlord expert would need a long time to recover. In fact, Lin Fei had guessed correctly. When they heard that the 5 overlords were chasing after the experts of the Nether Palace, they also had an idea. The only thing they could do was to kill a few overlord experts of the Nether Palace and try to bring the sacred beast back. Lin Fei returned to the star mine as soon as possible. The formation on the mine was still active. Lin Fei did not use force and turned into Mu Guang. He hurried into the mine. Since the overlord experts had gone to help, there was nothing for Lin Fei to worry about. The remaining few half-step overlords were not worth his attention. Currently, 5 overlords of the Nether Realm were in turmoil. Lin Fei naturally wanted to fish in troubled waters and cause trouble for a while. The star stone mine was the first. I'm sorry. These star ores, this old man wants them. Lin Fei blasted open a cave in the mine. This place was filled with star stones that had been excavated. The remaining half-step giants were also guarding this place, guarding the star stones. How did you get in? The half-step overlords were shocked. Even overlord experts could not force their way in when the formation was activated. A mere formation is nothing in front of the Heaven Wasteland Palace. Lin Fei threw out these words and launched an attack. The half-step overlords were all killed by Lin Fei in a flash, leaving behind a few corpses. Can I control this formation? Even if I can't, I have to change the formation flag. Lin Fei quickly killed the half-step overlords and some combat emperors. As for the rest, he dispatched the combat emperor army to take control of the Starstone mine. That's easy. Inside the formation, the little devil did not disappoint Lin Fei and quickly changed the formation. If the Nether Palace knew about this, they would probably vomit blood. The formation that was used to prevent outsiders from entering was controlled by an outsider and used against them. Nice. Lin Fei stored all the star stones in his storage ring. Orat, can you do it? It was a very ordinary name. It was used by Lin Fei to mine ores. This is a special existence in the endless world. They love to chew on ores, and ores of any grade are their targets. After being modified by the system, they're the best mining race in the world. There's no need to worry about the entire process. This special Orat was very cheap. Lin Fei could only rely on these little things. In reality, Lin Fei had still underestimated the little creature's power. As soon as they entered the vein, even miners would need time to digest the hard star stones. In the eyes of the little creature, the star stones were crushed in 2 or 3 bites and swallowed into its stomach. Lin Fei was dumbfounded by this scene. What a terrifying efficiency! Lin Fei was relieved. Exchange for another batch. On the other side, the experts of the Nether Palace came to support Wei Xuanlin. As soon as the two sides clashed, an intense battle broke out. The nearby cities were unlucky and were completely destroyed. It was almost impossible to see the appearance of the cities. The 5 sacred beasts were extremely ferocious. In their original state, they were invincible among those of the same level. The Nether Palace was not easy to deal with. After all, this was their base. In the end, it turned into 15 overlords attacking the 5 sacred beasts. This was the strength of the sacred beasts. If it was a human, they would definitely die. Even so, the sacred beasts were under great pressure. At this moment, Elder Yen appeared with his men and joined the battle to help the sacred beasts deal with the Nether Palace. Chapter 2237. The Nether Realm was in chaos. The 5 powerhouses of a holy beast tribe were invincible in their true forms. They were like bulldozers, destroying one city after another. Just a casual attack from them was enough to crush everything. The Nether Palace had sent out 15 experts to barely suppress the 5 sacred beast race experts and slowly turn the situation around. However, the intervention of the Heaven Wasteland Palace changed the situation again. The Heaven Wasteland Palace took advantage of the situation to weaken the Nether Palace. Originally, the 2 small sacred realms didn't interfere with each other's business. However, the Nether Palace had to give them an explanation no matter what. They were standing on the side of reason. The 5 experts of the sacred beast race gathered together in order to bring their companion back. The Nether Palace was in big trouble. The Nether Palace's strength is terrifying. The 5 experts of the sacred beast race are also very powerful. They are very durable. Lin Fei wasn't idle either. Lin Fei wasn't satisfied after taking over the Star Stone mine. He couldn't miss such a good opportunity. He took over 2 mines while others weren't paying attention. Lin Fei was in control of the three important mines. His war emperors came in handy. The efficiency of the special, or rat, was abnormally fast, far exceeding Lin Fei's expectations. Amazing! The entire mine was filled with, or rats. They dug out the ores one by one. The efficiency was much faster than his subordinates digging. There was no comparison. Good, that's for the best. Lin Fei was very satisfied with this efficiency. At this speed, it shouldn't take long to empty the three mines. 1 or 2 days at most. 1 or 2 days. Lin Fei's gaze turned to the battlefield outside a city. Ever since the sacred beast race and the Heaven Wasteland Palace intervened, the Nether Palace had suffered great losses. The Nether Palace had suffered a great loss. Their city was destroyed, their half-step magnates were killed, and a few of their magnates were severely injured. It could be said that the Nether Palace had lost a lot of face this time. The forces of the Nether Realm remained silent and looked on coldly. At the same time, they secretly recalled their potential disciples so that they wouldn't be affected by the battle. They would feel pain if any of them died. This was a storm. The Palace Master of the Nether Palace naturally couldn't sit still. The sacred beast race was not to be trifled with. Everyone knew that they were famous for being protective of their own. They had a violent temper, and basically, anyone who offended them would not pay a price. Don't even think about making the sacred beast stop. There was no need to mention the Heaven Wasteland Palace. As neighbors, it was inevitable that there would be friction between them. Now that the experts of the Sacred Beast clan were ganging up on the experts of the Netherworld Palace, it was tantamount to crossing the line. Old Flame, what do you mean by this? The experts of the Sacred Beast clan and the Heaven Wasteland Palace crushed the experts of the Nether Palace. The Nether Palace's palace master, Yu Jiutian, appeared with his people. He glared at them but didn't attack. If he really made a move, in the eyes of outsiders, it would be a big hat of bullying the weak. It would not be good if word got out. Yu Jiutian, we've never interfered with each other's business. Yet you actually dared to capture our race's sacred beast. I saw it with my own eyes, and the evidence is conclusive. What explanation do you have? The Crimson Ape Vajra waved its large copper hammer, and the three big shots powerhouses could only defend themselves. An ominous glint shone. Palace Master you! You still have the nerve to say that your Nether Palace killed our young Master Zhan Xiaohuang. How are you going to explain this? If you don't give me an explanation, I won't let this matter rest. Elder Yen was furious. Yu Jiutian didn't know why the people of the Heaven Wasteland Palace took the initiative to attack. When he heard about this matter, his head immediately swelled, especially when the one who died was Zhan Xiaohuang. How is that possible? Yu Jiutian wouldn't admit to it. The Nether Palace would never do such a thing. Elder Yen sneered. Don't quibble. I saw the young master's death with my own eyes. Your Nether Palace killed someone, but you won't admit it. You've learned something new. At this time, Elder Yen wouldn't let go of the Nether Palace. Lin Fei was excited to see the Heaven Wasteland Palace by the Nether Palace. Lin Fei was undoubtedly happy to see the Heaven Wasteland Palace by the Nether Palace. This time, they wouldn't be able to wash themselves clean even if they jumped into the Yellow River. That's not enough. I need to add more fuel to the fire. Lin Fei narrowed his eyes. The sacred beast Rainbow Peacock that Wei Shuanglin had captured was being guarded by a few half-step magnates. They were also far away from the battlefield. Whoosh! Suddenly, the sacred beast Rainbow Peacock that was originally sealed suddenly launched an attack. Its huge body moved, and its wings were like blades that slashed across the half-step magnates. The half-step magnate's physique wasn't comparable to that of the sacred beast, so they turned into pieces of corpses that fell from the sky. The sacred beast Rainbow Peacock regained its freedom. The captured sacred beast Rainbow Peacock was furious. The sacred beast Rainbow Peacock swept toward the crowd with 7-colored divine radiance. In an instant, The people of the Nether Palace were immediately attacked by a destructive attack. This was the furious attack of the sacred beast Rainbow Peacock. Whoosh! The half-step magnates fell from the sky one after another. Instant kill. The magnates' experts were slightly better off, but they all vomited blood. They were caught off guard because no one expected the sacred beast to break the seal. You can die for touching the people of the sacred beast clan. The Crimson Ape Vajra had the worst temper. Taking advantage of the Rainbow Peacock's attack, he smashed an injured giant expert with his big bronze hammer. His flesh was badly mangled and he died on the spot. This time, the Nether Palace's magnates were out of luck. The 5 experts of the Sacred Beast clan and the Heavenly Desolate Palace's experts had a strange tacit understanding and killed 5 early-stage magnates on the spot. You're courting death. As the palace lord, Yu Jiutian wanted to minimize this matter, but the sudden scene caused the Nether Palace to lose 5 magnates. Yu Jiutian's heart was bleeding. The palace lord was completely enraged. The Nether Palace had lost 5 magnates, which was equivalent to a loss of vitality. As the palace lord, if he didn't do anything, the Nether Palace would become a laughingstock in the future. An angry Yu Jiutian was very terrifying. After all, he was a late-stage magnate expert. Soul-splitting palm. 5 magnates. They're too cruel. This time, the Nether Palace is going to vomit blood. Lin Fei, who had been watching, sucked in a cold breath. He's attacking. So fast. Yu Jiutian's attack speed was far more terrifying than Lin Fei had imagined. The late-stage magnate expert only needed 1 palm to seriously injure the 5 magnates and the experts of the Heavenly Desolate Palace. They all vomited blood. How dare you come to the Nether Realm and kill the people of the Nether Palace? You don't have to leave. Yu Jiutian heavily injured them with 1 palm and slapped them again. Their expressions changed when they saw this palm. The late-stage magnates were far more terrifying than they had imagined. Palace, Lord you have a temper. On the Heavenly Desolate Palace's side, a terrifying aura descended and blocked in front of them. A punch collided and set off a terrifying shockwave. This person didn't move, and the experts of the Heavenly Desolate Palace behind him weren't affected at all. Chapter 2238. The late-stage experts of the Sacred Beast race and the Palace Master of the Heaven Wasteland Palace changed the situation once again. Yu Jiutian was up against 2 experts of the same level. The Heaven Wasteland Palace side was easier to deal with. After all, they were experts of the same level, but the Palace Master was different. The late-stage experts of the Sacred Beast race were far stronger than him. The pressure of the 3 late-stage experts made everyone feel like they were suffocating. The Palace Master of the Heaven Wasteland Palace didn't make a move. Instead, it was the experts of the Sacred Beast race who made the first move. Yu Jiutian had no choice but to fight back. Crushed. In the end, Yu Jiutian was forced to take out the treasure of the Nether Palace and block the fierce attacks. But he also lost face in front of everyone. The Sacred Beast race is not so easily bullied. If there's a next time, the Sacred Beast race won't mind starting a war. The expert of the Sacred Beast race threw out these words and swept up the 6 experts with a wave of his hand. He tore open the void and left the Nether Realm. From beginning to end, Yu Jiutian didn't stop them. The Sacred Beast race was full of madmen. There was no need for him to offend a bunch of madmen. As soon as the Sacred Beast race left, the Palace Master of the Heaven Wasteland Palace, Zhang Dihao, bluntly attacked Yu Jiutian and demanded an explanation. The Sacred Beast race is full of madmen. Lin Fei had a deeper understanding of the Sacred Beast race. No wonder the forces of the Holy World didn't dare to offend them. Even when hunting sacred beasts, they had to be sneaky. He was more or less disappointed that the Sacred Beast race didn't fight with the Nether Palace. However, it wasn't like Lin Fei didn't gain anything. He had witnessed the power of a late-stage expert. The Nether Palace and the Heaven Wasteland Palace didn't continue fighting as Lin Fei had expected. The death of a son wasn't a big deal for an overlord. The most important thing was how to benefit from this matter. The Nether Palace had lost a giant expert under the attack of the two forces, which was enough to weaken a portion of the Nether Palace's strength. What followed next was a war of words. Invisibly, the conflict between the two deepened once again. This was something that Lin Fei was happy to see. You're saying that your seal was automatically released? In the space of the Saint's world, Malone was very surprised. When he heard Kong Sheng's words, he frowned. Kong Sheng was the name of the rainbow peacock. In a short period of time, it completely transformed into a young man. The power of the seal was very strong. I kept trying to break it, but it didn't have much effect. In the end, the power of the seal disappeared and I was free. I killed those bastards and caught them off guard. I can guarantee that it was that person who broke it. The other 5 sacred beasts were extremely shocked. Is there someone hiding in the void? That's impossible. With our strength, it's impossible for someone to hide beside us without us noticing. Is there a mistake? They were all giant powerhouses. If someone was lurking around, if they could not sense it, then that person's strength was too terrifying. Malone was the one who had attacked Yu Jutian. He was also a top-notch existence among the sacred beasts. Now that there was someone hiding around, this person's goal was not simple. Stop! Malone raised his hand, signaling for everyone to stop. Who is it? Come out. As expected of an expert of the sacred beasts. I've admired you for a long time. A blurry figure descended from the void and appeared in front of Malone. Brother Ma, it's him. He's the person who sealed me back then. Kong Sheng had a complicated look in his eyes. He would never forget this person's aura for the rest of his life. He was the one who attacked. Otherwise, he would not have been able to last until Brother Ma and the others arrived. Malone tried to see through the other party. The other party was completely condensed from energy. There was nothing to see. You flatter me, sir, Malone said. I'm rather curious about why you stopped us. Why did you stop us? The person who descended was naturally Lin Fei. The sacred beasts were also a powerful force that controlled a small sacred realm. It would be a pity if Lin Fei did not do anything. Actually, I just want to make a deal with the sacred beasts. A deal that you won't refuse. A deal. At the Starstone Mine, Lin Fei smiled as he watched Ma Long of the sacred beasts leave. I don't think anyone can refuse such a benefit, unless they're fools. After withdrawing his gaze, Lin Fei turned back to the battlefield. The people of the Netherworld Palace and the Heaven Wasteland Palace had already left. Lin Fei was not interested in checking out the situation. His goal was accomplished anyway. The Starstone Mine and the other 2 mines had already dug out 20 to 30% of the ores. In about 2 days, they could pack up and leave. Yu Jiotian still could not understand why his subordinates would kill Zhan Dihao's son. However, Zhan Dihao had accused the Netherworld Palace, and Yu Jiotian could not find any reason to refute. At this moment, Yu Jiotian was full of grievances. Men, investigate this matter clearly for this empress. He suppressed his anger with great difficulty. Half a day later, bad news came. Palace Master, something bad has happened. 3 of our mines have been occupied. The Netherworld Palace controlled countless mines. They did not care that 3 of them had been occupied. They could easily take them back with just a few experts. When Yu Jutian learned that the 3 mines were the Starstone Mine, the Blood Essence Stone Mine, and the Ghost Flame Mine, his face darkened. At the Starstone Mine, people from the Netherworld Palace surrounded the array. But at this moment, all of them were fearful. Even the magnates were the same. They could not understand why the array could not be controlled and had become the enemy's weapon. For a moment, they did not dare to attack. This array was too terrifying. The previous fierce attack had caused countless casualties and even lost 5 half-step magnates and a magnate expert. With that as an example, no one dared to enter. This array had become the gate to hell, and anyone who entered would definitely die. Palace Lord is here. That's great. Yu Jiutian rushed over with a dark face. He could not help but be furious when he saw his subordinates outside the array. Why didn't you attack? These 3 mines were one of the most important to the Netherworld Palace. Now that they had lost 3 of them, how could they not be furious? It would have a great impact on the Netherworld Palace. Palace Lord, it's not that we don't want to attack, but the array is being controlled. We are powerless, the subordinate said helplessly. Chapter 2239. The array was under someone's control. The elders present were dumbfounded. Yu Jiutian of the Nether Palace was also dumbfounded. This was the array that they had specially set up for the mining area to defend against intruders, who was so powerful that they could control the entire array. What a scam! Where's the array, Grandmaster? Is there no way? Yu Jiutian wasn't in a good mood. They had just managed to suppress one incident, and now another one popped up. Did they really think that the Nether Palace was a pushover? Palace Master, it's not that we can't do it, but the other party is too powerful. The array core has been changed, and it's not something that can be broken in a short period of time. One of the array grandmasters said helplessly, "Logically speaking, it's impossible for outsiders to control our array. We can't figure it out either." The other party also has an array grandmaster. They must have been studying our array for a long time. We can't do anything in a short period of time. The array grandmasters of the Nether Palace were all very powerful. They weren't called grandmasters for nothing. 1 or 2 array grandmasters were fine, but all the array grandmasters present were helpless. Even the stupidest person could understand that the array was completely under the other party's control. "Can't we use force?" Yu Jiutian asked. "It's very difficult. When this array was first set up, we were worried that it would be attacked, so we made a special arrangement so that it can still operate even when it's under attack." Yu Jiutian cared a lot about the mining area. He didn't care about ordinary mining areas, but these 3 were of great significance. If the Nether Palace lost these 3 mining areas, it would be a great loss. Yu Jiutian wanted to know who dared to steal from the Nether Palace's territory. The local forces were immediately overruled. They didn't have the courage or guts to do so. The external forces had a bigger motive. For example, the Heaven Wasteland Palace. To be able to occupy the mining area and control the array in such a short period of time, it was definitely the work of a major force. The Heaven Wasteland Palace was the most suspicious. Only they knew that the Nether Palace had mobilized their forces. The only thing they couldn't figure out was how they got in. The array of the mining area was always on. This was inconceivable. This consort only has one question. Can martial strength break it? Yu Jiutian's cold gaze swept across everyone. Sure, it's a must. The Nether Palace's foundation was terrifying. Yu Jiutian, the Palace Master, mobilized the power of the Nether Palace. Attacking the formation core, interesting. Outside the mining area, the experts of the Nether Palace gathered and started to attack the formation eyes according to the formation Grandmaster's order. They were trying to destroy the eye of the formation, thereby destroying the formation. It's a pity that this formation is no longer the one you saw before. It's a formation that has been strengthened by the system. It can't be broken by destroying the formation core. Lin Fei watched with a smile. He had to admit that the Nether Palace was terrifying. They joined forces to attack the formation's core, tearing open the void and capturing the location of the formation's core. Waves of thick and terrifying energy came crashing down on the formation's core. The entire formation rippled incessantly as if it was on the verge of collapse. The first formation eye, the second formation eye, the third formation eye. The Nether Palace's attack was fierce and destroyed the formation's core one after another. The people inside listen up. This Empress doesn't care who you are, but if you don't want to die, immediately open the formation and surrender. Otherwise, once the formation is broken, this Empress will definitely uproot the forces behind you. I'll make you beg for death. Yu Jiutian gritted his teeth at the mysterious person in the mining area. The only thing that Yu Jiutian was glad about was that no matter what force was inside, they had only taken a portion of the ore. The star ore was so hard that even battle emperors would have a hard time mining it. The efficiency was very low. Yu Jiutian wasn't worried at all. He wanted to see what force dared to steal from the Nether realm. Ha ha ha, the Nether Palace sure is arrogant. Uproot them. I'm from the Heaven Wasteland Palace. Come at me if you dare. Lin Fei laughed. The Heaven Wasteland Palace again. The elders and deacons behind Yu Jiutian were all furious. This time, the Nether Palace had suffered a great loss at the hands of the Heaven Wasteland Palace. If they hadn't intervened, the experts of the Sacred Beast clan wouldn't have been able to kill their people. They hated the Heaven Wasteland Palace more than the Sacred Beast clan. What? You have nothing to say. You killed the young master of the Heaven Wasteland Palace and took 3 of your mining areas. Ha ha ha. Lin Fei said proudly, "Come at me if you dare. I'll wait for you." A cold light flashed in Yu Jiutian's eyes. As he had guessed, the Heaven Wasteland Palace was the most suspicious, and only they could grasp the time. Don't stop, keep attacking. Although Yu Jiutian hated the Heaven Wasteland Palace, he didn't dare to bite them without evidence. Let's capture him first. It was that simple. The strength of the formation was completely beyond the imagination of the Nether Palace. It's about time to go. In just 2 days, Lin Fei had attracted their attention. The ores of the other 2 mining areas had also been dug out. Although there didn't seem to be any changes on the outside, the inside was actually empty. Empty shells. Lin Fei was satisfied. He could go back and improve the strength of his subordinates. Lin Fei wasn't interested in the matters of the Nether Palace and the Heaven Wasteland Palace. At most, it would just be a war of words. It's broken. Kill them. Capture the people of the Heaven Wasteland Palace alive. The last formation I was destroyed. Everyone rushed in. Where were they? When everyone came in, the entire mining area was quiet. Everyone looked at each other with a blank look on their faces. Search. The elders and deacons began to search. There's no one here. There's no one here either. There's no one here. Even when everyone covered the mining area with their divine senses, they couldn't find a single living person. They had disappeared into thin air. It was as if they had never appeared. Yu Jiutian came in immediately and covered the mining area with his divine sense. But they were really gone. There was no aura in the entire mining area in front of him. Where did they go? Yu Jiutian did not believe that there was someone who could change the array by himself and successfully control it. Furthermore, no one could leave his side. From start to finish, the entire mining area was under the surveillance of his divine sense. But even so, they were still gone. I don't believe it. Yu Jiutian stomped his foot angrily. Boom! A loud sound spread throughout the mining area. Everyone couldn't stand still. The ground cracked and dust flew. An unbelievable scene appeared. The mining area suddenly collapsed. The huge mining area collapsed in front of the elders, and the area kept expanding. Then, a giant pit appeared in front of everyone. The star ores have all been dug out. Some powerhouses exclaimed. The next second, everyone was dumbfounded again. Chapter 2240. The Netherworld Palace became famous. There was no way to hide such a big thing, especially those forces who were paying attention to it. They all thought that the Netherworld Palace was a joke. 3 top-grade mines were occupied, and not only that, the ores were completely dug out, leaving behind a huge pit. It was no less than a slap to their faces. Therefore, the Netherworld Palace became famous. At the same time, the Heaven Wasteland Palace became famous. The Netherworld Palace insisted that it was the Heaven Wasteland Palace's doing. As for the Heaven Wasteland Palace, they naturally would not admit it. When they first heard the news, their faces turned black. It was a blatant slander. Therefore, the two forces started a war of words. As the war of words dragged on, the Netherworld Palace could not take it any more. For the sake of the Saint Beast, they lost a group of half-step magnates and 3 mines. The losses were huge. The Netherworld Palace and the Heaven Desolate Palace went from a war of words at the beginning to a war of words later on. They fought back and forth and fought fiercely. As the main culprit, Lin Fei was wholeheartedly building up the strength of his subordinates. Amazing! In another small, sacred world, Wu Mingzhan was shocked when he heard about it. He understood without thinking that it was definitely Di Tian's doing. Almost no one knew about these 3 places except for him. To be able to empty 3 mines in such a short time, Wu Mingzhan thought that no one else besides Di Tian could do it. I still underestimated Di Tian's strength. Not many people could play with 2 top forces in the palm of their hands. I have to move around properly from now on. Wu Mingzhan did not feel the pinch at all when the 3 mines were emptied. Mysterious Sky World, Invincible Palace. Lin Fei was extracting 3 kinds of ores to increase the combat power of the Battle Emperors under him. Lin Fei was not interested in the Nether Realm, but he had arranged for the scouting flying insects to collect information. He also knew that the Nether Realm was in an uproar. The Netherworld Palace and the Heaven Wasteland Palace had both suffered casualties, so they would not suspect him for the time being. Master, this is the star-heavy armor. It was naturally made of starstones. A 3-dimensional dark green armor appeared in front of Lin Fei. It was simple and old. The star armor can increase the defense of a battle emperor to the level of a half-step overlord. Ordinary half-step magnates can forget about penetrating the star armor's defense. The little devil kept explaining. Lin Fei called for a War Emperor ranker to wear this kind of star-heavy armor. Clang! After putting on the astral-heavy armor, the Battle Emperor's attack power did not increase by much. However, his defensive power increased by several times. No matter how much Lin Fei attacked, his defensive power was still stable. Of course, Lin Fei's attack power remained at the level of a half-step giant. Good, this is really good stuff. How many star-heavy armors can you make in a day? We can produce 1,000 sets a day. Lin Fei frowned slightly at this number. He was not very satisfied. At the same time, each set of star-heavy armor will consume a portion of the source units. It was true that starstones were top-grade materials, but what truly allowed starstones to have heaven-defying defenses were units of origin energy. 1,000 sets it is. After 10 days, there will be 10,000 sets. Master, the slaughter spear has also been refined. The black spear revealed its sharpness. Lin Fei played with the black spear in his hand. It was a pitch-black spear. A cold light flickered, revealing an incomparably dangerous aura. The slaughter spear, together with the star-heavy armor, Master will have a heavy spear troop. Their combat power is comparable to a half-step giant ranker. The little devil said, even a giant ranker will not be able to kill a heavy spear troop in one move. Wang Tung held the slaughter spear and stabbed forward. The Battle Emperor armor that was used as a test subject was pierced in one move. This kind of Battle Emperor armor was called the Silver Battle Armor. It had a strong defense, but in front of the slaughter spear it was pierced in one move. Good, this is great. This kind of combat power was enough. How many can I make a day? 500 a day. This number was not very high. Lin Fei was very satisfied. With this batch of heavy spear troops, I have complete confidence in dealing with the undead spirits in the boundary wall battlefield. Lin Fei attached great importance to the boundary wall battlefield. If he could subdue those undead spirits, it would mean that he had control over a passage, and he would be able to come and go as he pleased without fear. What about the last material? The first 2 materials had broadened Lin Fei's horizons. As for the third material, he was very interested in it. The blood essence stone is a special material, a treasure of the heavens and earth. It contains the essence of the heavens and earth from the moment it was born. In the eyes of outsiders, it might be not bad, but they would not be able to unleash its true power. The little devil said proudly, "In Master's hands, the blood essence stone can be purified into blood essence. Using the blood essence stone can help you break through to the giant rancor realm. For example, if Master wants to reach the giant rancor realm, you just need to keep using the blood essence stone." Lin Fei had never thought that the last blood essence stone would be so powerful. Break through to the giant rancor realm? Although Lin Fei's combat power was not weak, there was still a gap between him and a true giant rancor. For example, in terms of vitality, there was a certain gap. For example, the giant rancor's vitality was especially strong, and it was not easy to kill them. So this is the blood essence stone. It's really rare. The amount of blood essence in the bottle was not as much as Lin Fei expected. It was very small, but Lin Fei could sense a dense life force from it. Lin Fei drank it in one gulp. Once the blood essence stone entered his mouth, it turned into endless vitality. Lin Fei felt as if he was floating in the air. His whole body was enriched and sublimated. It was a very mysterious realm. "Master, you don't need to do anything now. Just integrate the blood essence stone into your body." So comfortable. The small amount of blood essence stone took a full 3 days to digest. Lin Fei's spirit, qi, and spirit all improved. Could it be that breaking through to the giant rancor realm is a kind of upgrade in vitality? Lin Fei couldn't help but ponder. Although Lin Fei had only taken it once, and his combat power did not increase, his vitality had changed to a certain extent. It was as if a door was opening in the dark, faintly discernible, very blurry. The gate of life. Lin Fei had devoured a half-step giant rancor, more or less obtaining some secrets, especially breaking through to the giant rancor realm. As long as he could blast open the gate of life, he could advance to the giant rancor realm. As for how the people with the gate of life appeared, no one knew. Lin Fei dared to guarantee that the gate of life he sensed should exist, but it was currently too far away. If he continued to take it, he believed that he would get closer to the gate of life. Chapter 2241. Compared to the conflict between the Netherworld Palace and the Heaven Wasteland Palace, the mysterious sky world was very peaceful. Those who dared to find trouble with Di Tian had disappeared without a trace. In the eyes of those great forces, Di Tian could be considered a duke. Unfortunately, this duke had offended too many people. Once he came to the sacred world, he would definitely not have a good ending. After paying attention for a while, everyone stopped paying attention. In any case, Di Tian did not dare to come to the sacred world. It was that simple. No one would like Di Tian. As time passed, the mysterious sky world welcomed another lively day after half a year. The auction was about to begin. Even though everyone hated Di Tian, they were very interested in the things that Di Tian advertised. There were even rumors in private that Di Tian and the Curse Palace had a secret cooperation. According to the news from the Curse Palace, they had summoned all the geniuses back and sent them into a secret space. No one knew why, but it was rumored that it was related to Di Tian. Everyone was very interested in the things that Di Tian was auctioning. They realized that as long as they did not cause trouble in the mortal world and did not provoke Di Tian, they would be fine. A few days before the auction, the news came out again. Di Tian was auctioning combat emperors, even curse mages. This news would definitely shock people. Everyone knew how terrifying combat emperors were, especially when they were 9-star combat emperors. They were only a step away from 10-star combat emperors. Who didn't know the power of curse mages? Compared to the combat emperors around Di Tian, they were more concerned about curse mages. If they could get a few of them, it would be very flashy. Who wouldn't look up to them? In the eyes of the young people in the sacred world, Di Tian was their idol. Only Di Tian could offend all the great forces, and still live freely. Even though he could not go to the sacred world, he could still live freely. As soon as the news spread, it reached the ears of all the forces in the sacred world. Private visit? None of them. Lin Fei was not in the mood to receive the visits from the forces. In the end, he wanted to get cursed mages to increase his own strength. This time, Lin Fei was going to auction sword slaves and cursed mages. He believed that the market for these two types of slave soldiers would definitely be very popular. Lin Fei looked down on the saber slave and the sword slave since he had a heavy-armored spearman that was comparable to a half-step magnate. In the past, he had used the heavy-armored spearman to fight against Dao Nu. In the end, Dao Nu had been pierced into a hornet's nest by a single charge. It had been directly crushed. Lin Fei was now preparing to nurture a heavy gunner to become a good card in his hand. Although the ordinary saber slaves and sword slaves were not bad, they were far from being comparable to the heavily armed spearmen. Lin Fei decided to auction them off and exchange them for resources. He was not at a disadvantage at all. 10,000 saber slaves, 10,000 sword slaves, and 1,000 curse masters. This was deliberately spread by Lin Fei. After confirming the news, the major forces arrived one after another. In an instant, the profound sky world became lively once again. With regards to Di Tian auctioning the Battle Emperor, there were both good and bad words. Those minor powers could only feel their eyes turning red with envy, silently cursing Di Tian for not knowing what's good for him. He actually took out a Battle Emperor for auction. He wouldn't take it out even if he was beaten to death. The others applauded. This would increase the strength of their sex, and they could even be used as cannon fodder at a critical moment. Where else could they find such a good thing? Especially conjurer mages. In the entire sacred world, apart from the Cursed Palace, no one else had mastered it. Only a few apprentice conjurer mages circulated outside, and their combat power was not very strong. Now that there were War Emperor-level conjurer mages, even if he brought them along, he could also show them off when he went out. This time, those who came to the profound sky world were basically the clones of the major powers. Although they hated Di Tian, they could not help but want to buy some saber slaves and sword slaves back. At the same time, they brought batches of, or resources, and exchanged them for the black gold card. On the day of the auction, most of the major forces in the sacred world had come. Apart from some of the top forces who did not come, they had strong foundations and did not really care about these saber slaves and sword slaves. The only ones they were interested in were the conjurer mages. This time, those who participated in the auction had to buy a ticket to enter. 100,000 energy points. Many people scolded Di Tian for being shameless. How could he do such a thing, even charging for an auction? In Lin Fei's words, it was to prevent people from taking advantage of the situation and causing trouble. Although everyone was unhappy, they still bought tickets to enter in order to block the crowd. It was just 100,000 energy points. It was really nothing. Di Tian is really bold. He is not worried that he will become someone else's wedding dress. Yeah, if it was me, I would definitely not be able to do it. In the auction hall, some old acquaintances gathered together and discussed. Everyone wanted to eat a batch of Battle Emperors in the auction. These weren't 1-star Battle Emperors. They were 9-star Battle Emperors. Just one of them was enough to oversee a family or a sect and become a local tyrant. When everyone had arrived, the auction began. It was still the auctioneer from the previous time, but he was even more daring than before. According to His Majesty, no one in the profound sky world would dare to act recklessly unless they were courting death. The auctioneer was naturally bold. His Majesty was really awesome. Today, we will be auctioning War Emperor-level saber slaves, sword slaves, and conjurer mages. Now, we will be auctioning saber slaves. Every 1,000 saber slaves will form a group. There will be a total of 10 groups. This opportunity cannot be missed. Everyone, don't miss it. As the auctioneer announced the start of the auction, the first batch of saber slaves was sent up, making everyone's eyes turn red. Really, genuine goods at fair prices, honest to all. Snatch, snatch with all your might. Backstage, Lin Fei was all smiles. The bidding for the saber slaves was very intense, and the price quickly rose to more than 2 billion energy points. The first group of saber slaves was quickly bought by a major force for 8 billion energy points. With the first saber slave as the starting point, the competition was very intense every time. 1,000 9-stars where emperors were a great help. The price of each subsequent group was around 3 billion energy points. After 10 groups, Lin Fei obtained more than 30 billion energy points. The price of the sword slaves was about the same, and he also obtained more than 30 billion energy points. 1,000 conjurer mages, the competition was even more intense. 100 saber slaves formed a group, a total of 10 groups. The conjurer mages were very envious, and the price soared to 5 billion energy points. Compared to the saber slaves and sword slaves, everyone was more envious of the conjurer mages. But unfortunately, there were too few of them. In order to compete for the conjurer mages, the major forces were chasing after each other, and no one wanted to give up on the conjurer mages. The price became higher and higher, and in the end it reached 7 to 8 billion energy points. This was a priceless item, and besides the profound sky world, no one could get their hands on it. 1,000 conjurer mages directly contributed 100 billion energy points to Lin Fei. The smile on Lin Fei's face became even more radiant. After the auction ended, the auctioneer went on stage again and threw out a sentence. Now, let's invite the final treasure onto the stage. The conjurer mages refined from the origin source branch. Chapter 2242. That fellow Di Tian is completely reckless. Mysterious Tianqian world, invincible city in a house. He's going to change the power structure. How dare he say he's going to hold an auction every 6 months? In the house, a few people sat together with different expressions. Some of them were gritting their teeth. There were 2 days left until the end of the auction. However, to the forces of the sacred world, Di Tian's actions were beyond everyone's expectations. First, he auctioned battle emperors, curse mages, and then the divine weapons refined from the origin source branch. The auction held by Di Tian was a success. The entire sacred world remembered Di Tian. No one dared to ignore him anymore. This guy was starting to affect the power structure of the sacred world. Should we contact Di Tian privately? I'm sure he wouldn't mind selling some sword slaves and saber slaves. Although they said that Di Tian was wrong, they still wanted to work with Di Tian privately. For example, to get some curse mages. We have to contact him. Similar things kept happening in Invincible City. The first auction was very successful. The bidding for the curse mages was very intense, and they were sold at a high price. The weapons refined from the origin source branch pushed the auction to its peak. Even though there were only 4 treasures being auctioned, when used with the sword slaves and curse mages, they were almost comparable to a half-step giant powerhouse. Who would want to miss such a good opportunity? After the auction ended, the major forces bought houses in Invincible City and left their confidants behind to build their strongholds. In an instant, the residents of Invincible City made a lot of money. On Lin Fei's side, he was grinning from ear to ear. A tycoon was indeed a tycoon. He had gained a lot. He had made up for his losses. After the auction ended, Lin Fei even announced that he would hold an auction every 6 months. At the same time, he released a big piece of news. It shook the entire sacred world again, regardless of age. The success of the auction also made the first-rate forces set their eyes on sword slaves, saber slaves, and even curse mages. It was a good thing to increase the strength of the sections. No one wanted to miss it. They contacted each other privately, hoping to buy a batch of sword slaves and saber slaves. If possible, they hoped to buy a batch of curse mages. To these requests, Lin Fei rejected them immediately. He would not sell them on a large scale for the time being. The people from Curse Palace are here? Bring them in. Upon hearing that the people from the Curse Palace had arrived, Lin Fei smiled. "Congratulations, Your Majesty. The auction was a success." Cursed Thunder congratulated him as soon as he arrived. Cursed Thunder no longer dared to underestimate Di Tian. The entire sacred world was shaken by this auction. As for those sects that were unable to increase their strength, it was undoubtedly a chance for them. Especially after the auction, it was announced that the mysterious sky world would be purchasing resources from all over the world. It could be exchanged for 1 to 9 stars War Emperor rankers. At the same time, there were also curse mages. This news was more attractive than the former. The people who were unhappy with Di Tian before all clapped and cheered. Their image instantly changed. Regardless of whether they were independent or in groups, they all started to search for resources. Everyone wanted to use their energy points to exchange for a powerhouse. With such a powerhouse overseeing, establishing a small force would be a cinch. The news had yet to spread across the sacred world. It was obvious just how great of an influence it would have once the news spread across the Saints' world. Even large organizations would have to take it seriously. He was the only one who was still okay. For the time being, those people were unable to enter the lower realms. All the passageways were controlled by the great powers. However, this wasn't a long-term solution. I should be thanking everyone. Without all of you, the auction wouldn't have been a success. Lin Fei smiled. The curse technique from the previous time was quite effective, right? At the mention of this, Curse Thunder's face was full of smiles. After bringing back the curse technique from the previous time, it was of great significance. Curse Thunder's position as the eldest son became more stable. All the elders who had cultivated the enhanced version of the curse technique looked at him in a new light. "Good, very good. That's good," Lin Fei said. Cursed Thunder took out a storage ring. "This is a small token of appreciation from the Curse Palace. Your Majesty, please accept it." Even though Di Tian was just a low-level big shot, Cursed Thunder still had to look up to him. His father's words kept reverberating in his ears. No matter what, he had to be on good terms with Di Tian. Unless the wasteland world was reorganized one day, Di Tian's position would be unshakable. Lin Fei glanced at it. It was all kinds of resources, and they were all of high grade. He accepted them without hesitation. "Thank you for the gift from the Curse Palace. I like it very much." Some of these resources were precious, but compared to the curse technique in Di Tian's hands, they weren't even on the same level. With the gift as the beginning, and with Cursed Thunder's intentional flattery, both parties had a very pleasant conversation. "Your Majesty, the Curse Palace has completely mastered the curse technique from the previous time. I wonder if we can continue to purchase the curse technique from Your Majesty? We have no objections regarding the price." Curse Thunder was very clear that if the Curse Palace wanted to rise again, the curse technique in Di Tian's hands would be very important. Lin Fei had been waiting for the people from the Curse Palace to come over. In his plan, the Curse Palace was very useful. "We are friends. That's easy." Lin Fei agreed immediately. "Just like the previous time, I will use your resources to exchange for the curse technique. However, this time I need a special material. I wonder if the Curse Palace's small sacred world has it?" Curse Thunder was most afraid that Di Tian would not agree. When he heard that Di Tian had agreed, he heaved a sigh of relief. Next to him, his third uncle, Cursed Wu Fa, also revealed a look of joy. As long as they could exchange for the curse technique, they were willing to pay any price. Especially after learning the curse technique previously, the combat power of the upper echelons had increased greatly. If they learned more curse technique, their combat power would increase even more. By then, they would be invincible among those of the same level. Invincible among those of the same level. How glorious would that be? That was why Cursed Thunder, the eldest son of the Curse Palace, purposely lowered himself, restrained his temper, and became respectful. "No problem. As long as the sacred world has it, The Cursed Palace will help your majesty get it. Cursed Thunder said without hesitation. He was most afraid that Dition would doubt the Cursed Palace's ability. It's something called a soul stone. Lin Fei released his destiny's energy, which condensed into the shape of a soul stone. Isn't this a heavenly soul stone? Cursed Wu Fa recognized it immediately. Heavenly soul stone? Lin Fei seemed to understand. It seems that I remembered wrongly. Cursed Thunder's expression sank slightly. The heavenly soul stone was not an ordinary stone. It was quite useful. It was also a special material that could be refined into a vicious treasure. Your Majesty, how many heavenly soul stones do you need? Cursed Thunder asked. Lin Fei smiled. The more, the better. I want all of them. If you can satisfy me, the cursed scepter that you want is not impossible. Cursed scepter. Both Cursed Thunder and Cursed Wu Fa became excited. Chapter 2243. Sacred World, Cursed Palace. Cursed Thunder and Curse could not return to the Cursed Palace immediately. Father, we have to get the Curse Technique and the Cursed Scepter from Dition, no matter what. Cursed Thunder said excitedly. In the secret chamber. Cursed Thunder was not the only one who was excited. The others were the same. After returning from the Cursed Thunder, whether the giants in seclusion or the giants outside, they either came in person or with their doppelgangers. This matter was too important. The Cursed Palace's palace master was more excited than anyone else. The strength of the Cursed Palace's giants had increased a lot from the previous curse technique. He completely believed that the perfect curse technique that Dition had mastered was of a higher level than the Cursed Palace's. A few curse techniques had increased their combat power. If they could master more curse techniques, the overall strength of the Cursed Palace would increase by more than 10 times. They might even be able to turn the current situation around. However, the Heavenly Soul Stones are not a small problem. Heavenly Soul Stones were not something that ordinary forces could control. The Cursed Palace controlled a small portion of these Heavenly Soul Stones. Most of them came from outsiders. They did not control the minds of the Heavenly Soul Stones. Palace Master, no matter what that fellow Dition needs Heavenly Soul Stones for, we have to get more Heavenly Soul Stones. This should be a test for us. I remember that there is a mine of Heavenly Soul Stones in our sacred world. Our Cursed Palace has been low-key for a long time. It's time for us to show our strength. Yes, let's take down that mine of Heavenly Soul Stones. This is a good opportunity for us to test that person's attitude. The Cursed Palace's palace master was also someone who wanted to do big things. He had already made up his mind when he summoned them here. They had to get their hands on the Heavenly Soul Stones, high-level curse techniques, and the Cursed Scepter of the Origin branch. Let's settle on this. Now, let's discuss if we are going to make a move. We have to strike like lightning and not give them any chance to react. The Cursed Palace's palace master said. Everything was settled. All the giants and powerhouses were anxious. I believe that the Cursed Palace is going to make a move soon. Lin Fei did not think that the Cursed Palace would disappoint him. He had promised to cooperate with the Cursed Palace on a deeper level. With their ambition, they would definitely start a small-scale battle. I hope they won't disappoint me too much. Lin Fei needed the Sky Soul Stone for a simple reason. He wanted to use the Sky Soul Stone to refine a soul armor. It was used to block curse attacks. As for the source of the material, it was one of the materials that Little Fiend had filtered out. At first, Lin Fei also had the idea of testing it out. It would be good if there was one, but if there wasn't, then he could only change to another material. Once the Heavenly Soul Stone was in his hands, curse mages would no longer be a threat. This was what Lin Fei needed. Sealed World's End. Lin Fei came again. It's also time to deal with the specters and undead lords in the Boundary Wall battlefield. Lin Fei had always been thinking about the Boundary Wall battlefield. After the auction, he announced that he would be forming an adventurers guild in the near future. It would be responsible for collecting rewards, trading, and other quests. According to Lin Fei's thoughts, the influence of the Association of Adventurers would spread across the entire Saints world in the future. From then on, no one would be able to leave the Association of Adventurers. If he wanted to spread the Adventurer Guild's influence, the most important thing was to open up a path. The major forces didn't care, but for the ordinary forces, if they didn't open up a path, they would never be able to enter the sealed world. Therefore, Lin Fei decided to go through the boundary wall battlefield. As soon as he arrived at the boundary wall battlefield, the wandering specters rushed up, forming a dense black mass. Attack! This time, Lin Fei wasn't alone. Apart from the curse mages, who brought an army, they couldn't participate. The black tide of army didn't stop and quickly rushed forward. The war broke out. Lin Fei stood with his hands behind his back. Behind him was a heavily armed spearman, the strongest force at hand. This heavily armed spearman's target wasn't the specters, but the undead lords. The number of specters in the boundary wall battlefield was uncountable. Lin Fei's sword slaves and blade slaves weren't to be trifled with. They started a fierce battle. 1 day, 2 days, 3 days. The army was advancing every day. The casualties were unimaginable. Lin Fei didn't feel heartache at all. These losses were nothing. The number of specters also started to decrease, and they weren't as dense as before. The sword slaves and blade slaves also cooperated perfectly, attacking from the front and defending from the back, adapting to the specters' attack rhythm. Bang, bang, bang. The ground collapsed, and many earth giants emerged. The Earth Lord is here. Lin Fei remembered that this Earth Lord wasn't easy to deal with in order to break out of the encirclement. The Earth Lord appeared with an imposing aura. Its huge body controlled the earth, sending the sword slaves and blade slaves flying. Heavily armed spearmen attack. Lin Fei waved his hand, and the strongest army moved out. Kill! The sound of air being pierced through the air enveloped the Earth Lord. In front of the Earth Lord was a large number of earth giants. This was the Earth Lord's ability. Bang, bang, bang. The heavily armed spearmen turned into black shadows. When the slaughter spear pierced the enemy's body, the earth giants exploded. None of the earth giants present were able to block this wave of ferocious attacks. This was already within Lin Fei's expectations. It was the rhythm of a horizontal push. I want to see how many earth giants you, the Earth Lord, can summon. Batches of earth giants could only endure for a short moment before they were blasted into pieces by the heavily armed spearmen. In the blink of an eye, the heavily armed spearmen arrived in front of the Earth Lord. Hundreds of thousands of slaughter spears landed on the Earth Lord's body. Some of them were blocked by the Earth Lord, and the slaughter spears left spear marks on the Earth Lord's body. What a powerful defense! No wonder a half-step magnate couldn't injure a magnate expert. The Earth Lord roared, and the earth arrow shot out from its body, sending the heavily armed spearman flying. Just as Lin Fei had guessed, the spearman wasn't injured, and the astral armor on his body only had a slight dent. This is enough. Lin Fei was very satisfied. The Earth Lord was very strong, and the magnate realm wasn't its peak combat strength. To clear the boundary wall battlefield, Lin Fei brought 30,000 heavily armed spearmen. When Lin Fei made his move, 30,000 spearmen went up and attacked the Earth Lord from all sides. With the previous example, Lin Fei deliberately shielded this area, planning to take them down one by one. This was to prevent the magnate experts from gathering, and his 30,000 spearmen couldn't hold them off. Lin Fei was also very helpless. The production efficiency of the astral armor and slaughter spears was very low. The Earth Lord was very tyrannical. In a sealed area, the 30,000 spearmen displayed a very terrifying combat strength. Although there were some losses, It was within Lin Fei's acceptable range. 1 day later, the Earth Lord fell unwillingly. Lin Fei sacrificed 100 spearmen. Victory. Chapter 2244. After killing the Earth Overlord, Lin Fei had an unexpected harvest. A crystal stone. Scan. Lin Fei grabbed the crystal stone and looked at it from top to bottom, but he couldn't figure out what it was. Congratulations, Master. This is a good thing. It is the essence of the Earth Overlord. As long as anyone absorbs this essence, their strength will increase by a lot and they will become an existence like the Earth Overlord. Lin Fei himself was surprised. The encirclement of the dead souls in the boundary wall battlefield this time was actually to break through this battlefield and create a passage. In other words, as long as I refine this memory, I will at least reach the giant realm. Yes, you can say that. Little Devil said, if Master is willing, you can use this memory crystal to cultivate a giant realm powerhouse. Memory crystal, what a pleasant surprise. With the discovery of the memory crystal, Lin Fei was more concerned about these giant realm overlords. Encirclement. With the system, Lin Fei didn't need to pay much of a price. He easily locked onto the position of the giant realm overlords and began to attack them. Flame Overlord, I am coming. This was also the one who targeted Lin Fei last time. More than 20,000 heavy spearmen rushed forward. Stab! 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 The attacks of the heavy spearmen were very simple. They were constantly sent flying, but they immediately rushed forward. Even if their chests were caved in, their fighting strength didn't decrease. On the other side of the boundary wall battlefield, a group of people rushed in. The dead souls approached, but before they could get close, they were crushed into pieces. These are the dead souls. Their strength is ordinary and nothing to be afraid of. Everyone just needs to be careful and not let the dead souls get close to you. They naturally have a cold aura. Once the cold aura enters the body, ordinary people won't be able to resist it. On the battlefield, more than 10 people surrounded a middle-aged man in a gray robe. The middle-aged man was telling everyone, "The dead souls aren't our target. This time, our target is the Overlord powerhouse in the battlefield." The middle-aged man said, "Wait, you guys just follow this Lord. Disciple understands." Disciple understands. Behind him were all young people, both men and women. The man was handsome, and the woman was beautiful. Their temperaments were extraordinary. It was obvious that they came from a powerful faction. "Elder Sue, you've been here before, so please lead the way. This time we won't fail," the gray-robed middle-aged man said to the middle-aged man beside him. "Sure." The middle-aged man spoke simply, giving off an unapproachable aura. Another memory crystal in hand. After entering the boundary wall battlefield, this was already the 26th day. During these 26 days, Lin Fei didn't stop at all. Every day, he hunted down undead souls and undead lords. In just 26 days, he had obtained 15 memory crystals. This was a pretty good harvest. Lin Fei had sacrificed 5,000 heavy spearmen, and they had encountered 2 great lords. Fortunately, the great lords were not at their peak, or else Lin Fei's losses would have been even greater. Only 25,000 heavy infantry remained. He could still challenge a great lord by himself. As for those dead souls, most of them had been wiped out by Lin Fei. Now, everywhere he passed, there were only a few souls left. Hardly ever. There's another great lord in the east. What's going on? It's been 7 or 8 days. Why haven't any lord magnate appeared? The gray-robed Shangwen frowned and smashed the soul that charged at him with a palm strike. Could he have been killed by them? That's impossible. I haven't heard of anyone entering the World Wall battlefield recently. It is indeed a little strange. Su Kai said coldly, "In the past, we only needed to release our auras, and those overlord leaders would come to kill us. But now, no matter how much they release their auras, they can only attract the souls of the dead. They can't even see the shadows of the overlord leaders. Keep looking, Xiangwen said. Perhaps they are still wandering around. Let's change to another area, and maybe we will find something. I hope so. Xiangwen and Su Kai came from the Six Harmony world of the Sacred World, which was one of the top forces in the Six Harmony world. The purpose of their trip was very simple, and that was to bring back a memory crystal so that they could cultivate a great master. Even if this great master could not continue to break through in the future, he would still be a force in the sect. There's movement. Xiangwen and Su Kai held the treasures in their hands as they pushed forward. Everywhere they passed, the dead souls were completely annihilated. The two looked at each other and sensed the fluctuations coming from afar. Could it be that someone got here first? The World Wall battlefield was a public place. Anyone with the ability could enter. In the beginning, all the forces arranged for people to enter. However, the World Wall battlefield was very dangerous. Almost 90% of people died there. From then on, those who were not particularly confident would not enter. Following the energy fluctuations, the two and their disciples chased after them. Overlord Leader. The two saw an unbelievable scene as soon as they arrived. The Overlord Leader was surrounded by tens of thousands of silver-armored men and was in a state of exhaustion. The two could clearly see that the Overlord Leader was undoubtedly an arrow at the end of its flight and would not be able to hold on for much longer. What kind of force is this? There are more than 10,000 half-step overlords. Xiangwen and Su Kai were shocked. The half-step overlords were constantly being sent flying. Although their speed was slightly slower, their battle strength did not decrease. They continued to besiege the Overlord Leader. The two were very knowledgeable about killing overlords because they were early-stage overlord experts. Either of them was stronger than the Overlord Leader. He's going to die. Xiangwen stared at the Overlord Leader. After a while, the Overlord Leader was torn to pieces and left behind a memory crystal. Should we do it? Why not? The two came for the memory crystal. Although there were tens of thousands of half-step overlords, they did not think that they could threaten them. At worst, they would just take it and leave. Universal Buddha. The two joined hands and took out a giant treasure. This was one of their sect's treasures. Once the Universal Buddha appeared, heaven and earth seemed to fall into the treasure. The silver-armored spear soldiers were all suppressed and could not move. This item, our unity sect will take it. Xiangwen reached out to grab the memory crystal before anything else. From their point of view, once the Buddha of the heavens was unleashed, who could withstand the might of the treasure, a memory crystal would be a piece of cake. If the other party's strength was insufficient, they wanted to eat these half-step magnates in one bite. Impudent, with a loud shout, a black shadow attacked and slammed into the Universal Buddha. The Universal Buddha shook violently. Even the two's bodies shook along with it, their blood and chi surging. With this collision, the pressure was lost. A black-robed man picked up the memory crystal and turned towards them. How dare you touch my things? Chapter 2245. A blood-colored platform floated above the black-robed man. Lin Fei was very unhappy. Ever since entering the World Wall battlefield, Lin Fei had almost announced that he had taken over this place. Who would have thought that someone would actually come in and snatch the memory crystal? Now, someone actually came out to snatch it. Wasn't this making Lin Fei unhappy? Xiangwen and Su Kai were shocked at the beginning. To be able to resist the Buddhas of the heavens, it was definitely not an ordinary treasure. However, when the other party appeared, the War Emperor realm made them heave a sigh of relief. How could a mere War Emperor rancor be their match? He was just courting death. Hand over the memory crystal. Xiangwen was too lazy to say anything. Then scram! To be able to control tens of thousands of half-step giants, no force would dare to underestimate them. Lin Fei turned his head around. Were these two idiots, or what? Facing tens of thousands of half-step giants, they still dared to act big. These days he had taken in 10,000 spear soldiers and used 10,000 points to attack the great leaders to practice their coordination. What big words! In my territory, no one has ever dared to speak to me like that. Through the system, Lin Fei knew that the two of them were early-stage great leaders. They were extremely powerful, even stronger than the great leaders. He still dared to pretend. The two great leaders had seen everything, but they had never seen a war emperor ranker be so arrogant. Elder, he seems to be that Tian. He seems to be the master of the sealed world. The genius disciples behind him recognized him. Tian's name was known to almost every household in the sacred realm. Especially recently, the news of the Adventurers Guild had spread throughout the entire sacred realm, causing a huge commotion. Especially after experts like sword slaves could be exchanged. It undoubtedly stimulated everyone. In a short period of time, everyone once again remembered Tian. Xingwen and Su Kai had heard of Tian's name. The news of Invincible Palace auctioning sword slaves and even cursed mages had spread throughout the entire sacred realm. Ha ha ha! So you are Tian! Shang, when suddenly laughed out loud. You did not obediently hide in the sealed world, but instead came to the world wall battlefield. What a good plan. Unfortunately, you are going to be disappointed. Elder Su, it's best if we can capture this guy and bring him back. Perhaps we will be able to control the sealed world. Shangwen transmitted his voice. A hint of joy flashed across Su Kai's cold face. We've come across an opportunity. We must capture Tian. Right now, everyone in the Holy World was talking about how this Tian possessed secrets that normal people couldn't. For example, he could create sword and saber slaves, and he even had perfect curses. Who knew how many people in the Saints' world wanted to capture Tian so that they could obtain everything he had secretly? Unfortunately, Tian was extremely crafty. He had always been hiding in the sealed world, and they didn't dare to enter the sealed world. Tian was the hegemon of the sealed world. Even hegemonic characters wouldn't be able to do anything to him. Now that such an opportunity had presented itself, no one was willing to miss it. Lin Fei laughed. Were they going to catch him? Lin Fei knew a little about what the Saints' world had said about him, so he naturally understood what they were thinking from their expressions. It was nothing more than capturing him. The boundary wall battlefield was not a sealed world. It would not suppress the strength of the magnates. No matter how strong he was in the sealed world, he would have to be obedient in the boundary wall battlefield. You're wrong. You're the ones who will be disappointed. Lin Fei laughed. I have never killed a magnates before. You will soon become my best test subjects. Swoosh! Swoosh! The heavy spearmen who had recovered turned into silvery white shadows. Tens of thousands of attacks pierced through the air. Bang! Bang! The prodigies who followed behind them were either 10-star combat emperors or half-step magnates. Although the distance between them wasn't huge, they were attacked by the valiant heavy spearmen. These prodigies tried to defend themselves, but the slaughter spear pierced through them like a hornet's nest. Only Xingwen and Su Kai managed to block the attack. This was because they were magnates. The slaughter spear was powerful, but it was a pity that it wasn't a magnate's treasure. The spear was blocked by them as soon as it pierced their bodies. Tian, how dare you kill the people of the Unity Sect? You're finished. Shang Wen's face darkened. He had underestimated the power of the silver-armored man. The prodigies of the Unity Sect were also very powerful, but they couldn't even block a single wave of attacks. Everyone knows how to talk big. I said that you're dead meat. Lin Fei activated the Blood Heaven Seal. After images appeared one after another, colliding with the Heavenly Buddha. The two magnates were unable to suppress the heavy spearmen. The Heavenly Buddha was a magnate's treasure, and so was the Blood Heaven Seal. Its grade was even higher than the treasures of the Unity Sect. After more than 10 collisions, the two men's faces darkened. Swoosh, 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 swoosh. More than 20,000 heavy spearmen were released and surrounded them. Sheng Wen and Su Kai kept sending the heavy spearmen flying. With every palm strike, dozens of half-step magnates were sent flying. Their star armors were dented. Unfortunately, these attacks couldn't block the attacks of the heavy spearmen. The spear rained down on them continuously. What a strong defense! We can't let this Di Tian go. Their heavenly Buddha couldn't unleash its full power when it collided with the Blood Heaven Seal. The heavy spearmen kept surrounding them, but they couldn't kill them. The attack power of the heavy spearmen is not bad. They can block the attacks of the magnates, but they still have a long way to go before they can kill them. Lin Fei didn't make a move. Instead, he observed the combat power of the magnates. After some observation, he found that the 20,000 heavy spearmen still needed to work hard to kill the magnates. With this discovery, Lin Fei was quite satisfied. Other than the magnates, no one could block the attacks of the heavy spearmen. Di Tian, you have such a trump card. Unfortunately, in our eyes, you're still not enough. Shang Wen sneered and sent the heavy armored soldiers flying. The realm of a giant is not something that can be defeated with numbers. Lin Fei smiled. That might not be the case. Curse, paralyze. After verifying the combat power of the heavy spearmen, Lin Fei made his move. He used a curse to paralyze the moment he started. It was a curse that was enhanced by the units of source energy. It was a level higher than the curse from the Curse Palace. Shang Wen instantly felt that his body couldn't move. He was shrouded by a mysterious energy. Quick, stop him. For an expert, a lot of things could happen in an instant. Su Kai had heard that Di Tian knew curse techniques, but he had never thought that he would be so powerful. To be able to threaten a great expert at the War Emperor realm, this was definitely impossible under normal circumstances. As soon as Shang Wen was paralyzed, the Blood Heaven Seal smashed onto his body with an endless amount of power. He could only watch helplessly. Bang! Shang Wen was sent flying and smashed onto the ground. Again, Lin Fei attacked again, using the same curse technique. Curse technique, paralyze. The Blood Heaven Seal followed closely. Shang Wen was once again sent flying. On Su Kai's side, he was blocked by the heavy spearmen and was unable to help. Once, twice, 3 times, 10 times, 20 times, he was once again sent flying. Shang Wen's entire body was covered in blood. His body was covered in cracks. He spat out blood towards the sky. You're shameless! Chapter 2246. A giant expert was smashed to death by the Blood Heaven Seal. Su Kai looked on helplessly. He was unable to break through the encirclement of the heavy spear soldiers. That was an initial giant expert. You killed a giant expert of the United One sect. The United One sect will not let you off. Shang Wen's death increased the pressure on Su Kai. He was prepared to flee. He never thought that a little fellow at the combat emperor level could kill a giant expert. Lin Fei kept Shang Wen's corpse and smiled. So what if he knows? Can he enter the sealed world to kill me? You are thinking too much. But do you know what will happen to you? Su Kai was startled. He couldn't find a reason to retort. It seemed like it wasn't easy for the United One sect to kill Di Tian. As long as he hid in the sealed world, the elders of the United One sect could only watch. Send a clone? These half-step giants with spears could easily tear his clone into pieces. If 10 came, he could kill 10 of them. Don't tell me you want to kill me. You aren't that stupid. Lin Fei smiled. The Blood Heaven Seal smashed down from the sky. Curse technique, numb. Just as the All Heavens Buddha was in front of him, the immense power of the Blood Heaven Seal surged over. Su Kai found himself unable to move. He had lost control of his body, and his blood was churning from the impact. Kill! The heavy spear soldiers attacked. The sound of air being pierced could be heard as they landed on Su Kai's body. Su Kai was turned into a beehive. His battle armor was destroyed. His physical defense became a joke. With the Blood Heaven seal and the strange curse technique, Su Kai, who was an initial giant expert, was having a hard time dealing with them. The Heaven Buddha lost half of its power. The heavy spear soldiers were unafraid of death. It gave Su Kai a headache. Tian, you are shameless. You are bullying us with numbers. Su Kai persisted for an hour and was at the end of his rope. He didn't know why these half-step giants with spears were so durable. Even a giant expert couldn't kill them in one strike. They could only leave marks on their bodies, the spears in their hands. They could also unleash terrifying power. So what if you have more people? You are a giant. Lin Fei laughed and activated the Blood Heaven seal. After the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, Su Kai was covered in wounds, and he wanted to leave. However, Tian refused to let him go, and he couldn't escape at all. If you don't surrender, you're dead. Lin Fei gained the upper hand, but he had to sacrifice more than 300 heavily armed soldiers. Lin Fei was quite satisfied to be able to take down a giant. Surrender, surrender. Su Kai could only surrender helplessly. He had many thoughts of taking this chance to escape. As long as he returned to the Unity sect, he would definitely make Tian regret this. As soon as he surrendered, the blood sky seal pressed down. The heavily armed spearman also came forward. He brought a pair of syringes. This is good stuff. You're the first to enjoy it. The power of the puppet worm was still beyond Lin Fei's imagination. Once this thing entered the other party's head, it would produce an extremely powerful control ability. Although his consciousness was clear, Su Kai knew that he was like a walking corpse. That feeling was very uncomfortable. Fortunately, the puppet worms were like a tide, disappearing without a trace. During this period, Su Kai experienced the immense pain brought by the puppet worms. It was a pain that he couldn't understand. It was worse than death. Even though he was a giant powerhouse, he hadn't experienced pain for many years. But in front of the puppet worms, even his strong willpower couldn't withstand the torture of the puppet worms. Su Kai accepted his fate. Tian, who was younger than them, now had the strength to kill an early-stage giant powerhouse. But no one in the sacred world knew about this. You should know many giant friends. Lin Fei asked Su Kai with a smile. It wasn't easy to subdue a giant powerhouse, so Lin Fei definitely had to display the power of a giant powerhouse. Yes, Your Majesty, I do know some giant friends, but they're all early-stage giant powerhouses. Su Kai answered carefully. Not long ago, he saw Shangwen being killed and turned into a puppet giant by Tian, and he was completely stunned. Send a message to them. It's best if they come one by one. Just say that they found a treasure in the World Wall battlefield. You should know how to describe it. Lin Fei gave him a you understand look. This subordinate understands. Su Kai silently sighed for his friends. I'm not the one who harmed you. I didn't have a choice. It's best to start with the weaker ones. Of the two giant powerhouses from the United Sect, one was dead and the other was injured. In the end, they were both used. Lin Fei surrounded the giant overlords, and the pressure was reduced a lot. He arranged for them to be the main force, and their efficiency immediately increased. The only thing he was unhappy about was that the puppet giants were very different from when they were alive. They weren't as agile as Su Kai. The puppet giants were still giants. In terms of combat strength, they were far above the heavily armored spearmen. This was something that couldn't be compared. Lin Fei simply equipped the star armor and slaughter spear, and his strength increased a lot. On the 7th day of killing the giant overlords, Su Kai's first friend came. He contacted Su Kai as soon as he came in, and after getting Lin Fei's approval, he sent his location. Not bad. You've made a great contribution. If possible, Su Kai really didn't want to make a contribution. He would be tricking his teammates. Su Kai's friend was called Sanger. He was a giant primary stage expert from from another faction. Back then, the two of them had joined hands to kill a giant demonic beast. When he heard that there was a treasure, he immediately came. Sanger believed in Su Kai's character. Most importantly, Su Kai was from the United Sect. The United Sect was a big sect, and they definitely wouldn't trick themselves. The World Wall battlefield might be dangerous, but there were all sorts of rumors outside. They mentioned that there were all sorts of treasures in the battlefield, and whoever obtained one of them would be able to reach the heavens in a single step. Sanger carefully came in and saw Su Kai's good friend. "Where is the treasure?" he immediately asked. The treasure was truly tempting. "It's here." Without waiting for Su Kai to reply, the heavily armored spearmen appeared and surrounded Sanger. "I didn't have a choice either." Su Kai threw out these words and took out the All-Heaven Stupa. Lin Fei's Blood Heaven seal followed closely behind. He couldn't be bothered to talk nonsense and directly attacked. Sanger's face turned black. He had been tricked. The moment he appeared, the three giant overlords attacked fiercely. At the same time, the curse mage was put to use, continuously casting spells, and all sorts of support spells landed on his body. If it was during normal times, it might not be a big deal, but it was different this time. "You are Ditian." Sanger quickly understood who this person was. Other than Ditian, who else could it be? "That's right, it is me. Do you choose to surrender, or do you choose to be killed by me and then refined into a puppet giant?" Lin Fei went straight to the point. Chapter 2247. "Su Kai, you will die a horrible death. You're a bastard, Su Kai. Su Kai, let me go and I can give you anything." Inside the boundary wall battlefield, Su Kai's friends were tricked over one by one. There were a total of 8 of them. Among them, apart from 3 who resisted with all their might, the rest chose to surrender. Then they were successfully controlled by the puppet insects, becoming Lin Fei's strongest trump card. In a short time, Lin Fei had 10 magnates by his side. Clearing the boundary wall battlefield became a lot easier. They only needed to deal with the magnates. The number of memory crystals in Lin Fei's hands also increased. If this continues, the magnates will be cleaned out in a few days. Seeing the 10 of them besiege the magnates, Lin Fei was very satisfied. For the time being, Lin Fei had not tricked the magnates of the Unity sect. With 10 early-stage magnates by his side, he could deal with a lot of things. He also did not want to alert the enemy so quickly. The Unity sect had lost 2 early-stage magnates. With Su Kai's return, they could hide it for a period of time. Moreover, the early-stage magnates were very free in the Unity sect. Usually, when the magnates went out, unless it was an important matter, it was normal for them to disappear for 3 to 4 years. With Su Kai as a spy, Lin Fei did not have to worry about the Unity sect finding out the truth. Almost a month later, the boundary wall battlefield was almost cleared. There was only one place left. Right now, there were almost no dead souls in the boundary wall battlefield. After clearing out all the magnates, Lin Fei went straight to the center of the boundary wall. According to Little Fiend's monitoring, the center of the boundary wall battlefield was closely related to the formation of the boundary wall battlefield. Thus, Lin Fei came. With 10 magnates under his command, Lin Fei became very confident. Blade Slave and Sword Slave became the vanguard. Several teams went straight to the center. Lin Fei used the system to monitor. It was just as Little Fiend had analyzed. There was indeed an unsafe factor in the center. As soon as the vanguard got close, they were frozen by the cold air and turned into glaring ice sculptures. Lin Fei also felt a trace of cold air assaulting him. Invincible defense was activated immediately. "Your Majesty, rumor has it that during that great battle, an unrivaled expert fell in the world wall battlefield. To be able to release such a dangerous aura, perhaps this is the place where that unrivaled expert fell," Su Kai said very proactively. Ever since he cheated his friend, Su Kai also knew that his life and death was in the hands of Di Tian. His attitude had also changed. Everyone here was a subordinate of His Majesty. How could they gain Di Tian's favor? Su Kai naturally wouldn't miss such an opportunity. No wonder little Demonis told me not to go near the central area from the beginning. Maybe this is the reason. Lin Fei secretly analyzed, feeling that it made more and more sense. Your Majesty, look. Souls are coming out. The cold air here can nurture dead souls. The giants behind him exclaimed. Lin Fei noticed that in the area with the cold yin qi, there were indeed dead souls forming. As soon as the dead souls formed, they possessed battle prowess. This was truly shocking. These days, Lin Fei had always been curious about one thing. Why would the dead souls still appear when they had clearly been wiped out? Now he finally found the answer. Unrivaled expert, this is a good material. Lin Fei was even more interested in the origin of the cold yin qi in the depths of the central area. The yin qi in the central area was something that even the giants didn't dare to underestimate. In front of this cold yin qi, they all felt a certain degree of suffocation, and it was extremely uncomfortable. At the beginning, Lin Fei also felt uncomfortable. After using the origin energy units, the uncomfortable feeling of suffocation disappeared completely. Lin Fei had to use the origin energy units to resist the invasion of the cold yin qi. Your Majesty, we can't hold on anymore. We can't hold on anymore. The energy in our bodies can't even circulate. This aura is too terrifying. Su Kai and the others were the first to be unable to hold on. Their expressions changed. Their movements became slower and slower. You guys just guard outside. Lin Fei knew how terrifying the cold yin qi was. He didn't intend to let them continue forward. If they all died here, his efforts would have been in vain. Soon, only Lin Fei was left. The dangerous aura also made Lin Fei secretly pay attention. Could it be that in this central area there was really a corpse of an unrivaled expert, and this power was released by the corpse? With this thought, Lin Fei wanted to see what was going on. As the position got closer and closer, Lin Fei felt more and more pressure. Thanks to the protection of the origin energy units, he was able to resist. These corpses, Lin Fei walked in and saw corpses one after another. The corpses were covered with frost and looked lifelike. Their faces were also different. Some were ferocious, some were desperate, and some were unwilling. Lin Fei casually touched a corpse. The originally lifelike corpse instantly turned into a puff of smoke. This made his heart sink. Sigh, such a good material is gone. At the beginning, Lin Fei was very excited. Judging from the appearance of the corpse, it was basically a giant-level expert. If he brought it back and modified it by the system, wouldn't it be great? Unfortunately, with a puff of smoke, his beautiful dream was completely shattered. The corpses on the road began to lessen. However, the wounds on the corpses made Lin Fei's scalp tingle. Most of the corpses had a scar on them. They were either beheaded or missing half of their bodies. Basically, they were killed with a single slash. Other than saber wounds, there were also sword wounds. This kind of combat power should have reached the unrivaled realm. Did these break in recently? Lin Fei thought as he moved forward at a constant speed. Soon he saw a different scene. More than 10 complete corpses appeared on the road. There were no wounds on their bodies. Along the way, there were wounds on the corpses. But these 10 corpses did not. They were all intact. Could it be that they were killed by the cold yin aura? Lin Fei guessed. Other than this reason, he could not think of any other reason. After some observation, Lin Fei made a discovery on the corpses. Could it be the fortune gate that created the 10 great cultivation techniques? Among the 10 great cultivation techniques, there was one called the Fortune Divine Art. It possessed heaven-defying might, and it was rumored that when cultivated to the peak, it would have the effect of defying nature and death. Hanging on the waists of these corpses was a token with the word fortune engraved on it. It was impossible for Lin Fei not to associate it with the fortune gate. Lin Fei did not dare to touch the things on the corpses, but the appearance of the fortune gate's people made him ponder deeply. Could it be that they're here for the treasures left behind by the unrivaled masters? Lin Fei dared not be sure, but this thought was very strong. After 2 hours of continuous running, Lin Fei saw a few scattered corpses. Just like before, they were still intact, and the engraved token still said Fortune Gate. Chapter 2248. The storm roared towards him. Lin Fei's vision turned completely dark. A great terror enveloped him. Fortunately, Lin Fei was not an ordinary person. His invincible defense was activated at all times, and the origin energy units were pushed to the limit. The frigid qi in the storm fell on his body. White, a sea of white. In an instant, Lin Fei turned into an ice sculpture. The storm dispersed. Crack, crack, crack. The ice sculpture exploded, and Lin Fei stepped out. How terrifying! I was almost killed in an instant. Lin Fei was visibly shaken. No one knew better than him what had happened just now. If it weren't for the origin energy units protecting him, he would have died without a doubt. Perhaps these people were killed by this storm. Lin Fei had a new idea. Little devil, help me keep an eye on this place. If there's another storm, inform me immediately. I don't want to experience the feeling of being frozen in ice again. It's not a pleasant feeling. After the storm dispersed, Lin Fei's vision widened. Something appeared in front of him. Lin Fei saw a corpse. A corpse. A corpse as big as a mountain. The sacred majesty formed a unique domain around the corpse. Before Lin Fei could get close, he felt a suffocating pressure bearing down on him. It wasn't that Lin Fei had never seen a large corpse, but this was his first time seeing one like this. Could this be the corpse of a peerless master? The corpse in the distance did not fall down. Instead, it was standing like a towering mountain, towering and unmoving. Lin Fei looked tiny in front of this giant. The corpse was clad in heavy armor, and its grade was unclear. It held a giant axe in its hand, and its eyes stared straight ahead. The axe was raised high, as if it would fall at any moment, giving off a feeling that it was going to deliver a fatal blow. Lin Fei observed the corpse for a moment. He could tell that this corpse was different from the rest. It must have been in a high position, and there was only one wound on its body. Subconsciously, Huang Xiaolong tried to reconstruct the corpse. Most likely, this person was about to make a move, but was killed by someone from afar, clean and swift, without any hesitation. This is probably not a Fortune Gate's master. While he was observing the corpse, many dead souls condensed on the surface of the corpse. Lin Fei was very shocked. Even though he had some guesses when he came in, he was still shocked to see it with his own eyes. Lin Fei tried to get closer, but the pressure was like a mountain crushing down on him. Even if he had origin energy units, he couldn't get close for a while. He had no choice but to give up. Lin Fei was very interested in obtaining a well-preserved corpse. With a little modification, it would be an existence that could sweep through everything. Lin Fei tried to use the system to collect the corpse, but it didn't work. Even if the corpse was dead, it wasn't something he could suppress right now. It wasn't like there was no chance. Lin Fei didn't want to have no trump cards. In less than the time it takes for an incense stick to burn, the black storm struck again. Lin Fei had used up a lot of origin energy units in the last black storm. If he had to do it again, he would die of heartache. After the storm appeared, Lin Fei chose to leave immediately. Outside the boundary wall battlefield, Lin Fei appeared in a sorry state. Luckily, I escaped in time. A trace of relief appeared on Lin Fei's face. The second wave of the black storm was stronger than the first, as if it could destroy everything in its path. The only good thing was the black storm did not expand outwards. For the time being, the outside was safe enough. At this point, the boundary wall battlefield was successfully opened. Other than the central area, where he couldn't guarantee his safety, the outer areas. As long as he arranged for his subordinates to patrol and eliminate the wandering dead souls, there was basically no danger. To Lin Fei, the boundary wall battlefield was too useful. To ensure his safety, Lin Fei once again ran around the entire boundary wall battlefield, checking from top to bottom, except for the central area. The rest of the area was safe. The central area was a terrifying place, so Lin Fei decided not to go in for the time being. Who knew how many layers the black storm had? If it came a few more times, he might not have enough origin energy units left. Huff! Standing on a small piece of land, Lin Fei felt refreshed. The majestic heavens' energy flowed into his body, as if he had eaten honey. At this time, Lin Fei was in the Holy Realm. Even though there was still a long way to go to the Holy Realm, it did not matter. The heavens' energy in the Holy Realm was far above that of the sealed world. Here, Lin Fei could absorb the heavens' energy as much as he wanted. After the boundary wall battlefield was opened, Lin Fei immediately occupied this piece of land in the Holy Realm. In a few days, he built a huge city, and at the same time, he sent giant puppets to guard it. At the same time, he set up many defensive energy towers. Even if a giant expert attacked, they would not be able to easily break through the city. Lin Fei arranged for more than 10 giant experts to stay in this place. As for the heavy armored spear soldiers, he left 10,000 of them in the city, enough to protect the city from being occupied. Lin Fei also sent people to spread the news. The sealed world was no longer unknown and unknown. Everyone knew that Di Tian watched over the sealed world. All the experts of the Saints' world could do was watch on helplessly. As for the Association of Adventurers, no one thought much of it. Without them opening the path, Di Tian's plan to establish the Association of Adventurers would be in vain. But just as everyone was about to forget, another piece of news spread, and the Holy Realm was in an uproar. Di Tian has occupied the boundary wall battlefield. Di Tian has broken through the path of death that is the boundary wall battlefield. Di Tian is here. When the news spread, everyone did not believe it at first. Everyone knew how dangerous the boundary wall battlefield was. There were many Hegemon-level experts who had fallen there. How could a single Di Tian conquer this area? It was simply impossible. The larger forces did not believe it, but some smaller forces held a wait-and-see attitude and rushed over. They saw the city. They saw the city rising from the ground and saw many black towers. After paying a certain fee, they entered the city. The city was very quiet at the moment, so they went straight to the boundary wall battlefield. That's it. That's great. We can enter the sealed world from now on. The Association of Adventurers that Di Tian mentioned is coming soon. After the first group of people returned, the news spread again. The boundary wall battlefield had really been occupied by Di Tian. Countless souls had disappeared without a trace. Other than that, the giant leader had also disappeared without a trace. The Holy Realm was in an uproar. The larger forces could not sit still anymore. Is that Di Tian really that capable? The giant experts could not laugh at this news. Boom, boom, boom. After everyone was shocked by Di Tian's boldness, the city that Lin Fei had named Sealed City exploded with a sky-piercing aura. The giant experts of the 33 holy heavens all looked over. This is the aura of a giant expert. Could it be that one of Di Tian's subordinates has become a giant expert? This seems to be the aura of the earth, the aura of fire. How many is this? Before everyone could react, the auras of the giant experts were like sharp swords that stabbed into the sky. Chapter 2249. The entire Saint world was in an uproar. Unconcealed auras of giants broke through one after another. Everyone was blinded. Since when did giants break through in batches? Now that Di Tian had matured, He was no longer as easy to deal with as before. He began to set foot in the Saints' world. The various giants and experts were the best proof. Regular organizations could do nothing to Dtion. Everyone wasn't a fool. They all knew that after Dtion cleared out the world wall battlefield and obtained the memory crystals of the hegemonic lords, he would be able to create hegemonic lord experts in batches. Even if those hegemonic lords were to be stuck at the initial phase of the hegemonic lord realm forever, they would still be hegemonic lords. That Dtion in their eyes was no longer a small fry in the sealed world. He had the ability to enter the saint world. Everyone's mood changed. In just a few days, the 6 Harmony worlds united one sect in the 20th level started to cause trouble for Dtion. They accused him of killing their giants. When this news came out, everyone was shocked. The United One sect also lost a giant expert? That Dtion was so capable. This wasn't a good thing. The Unity sect also recently learned that a great master of Shangwen had fallen in the boundary wall battlefield. In addition, another great master, Sukai, had also disappeared without a trace. This was a huge loss for the United One sect. When the news of the world wall battlefield being wiped out was exposed, the United One sect immediately bit onto Dtion. Other than Dtion, who else dared to act recklessly? The United One sect sent out a public notice. Their stance was very firm. They wanted Dtion to personally apologize to them. If not, they would send people to capture him. If you have the ability, come and capture me. This was what Lin Fei said. The United One sect was furious. That Dtion was too cocky. He dared to ignore the United One sect. Dtion was the first. Before the United One sect could digest this news, another piece of news came from Sealed City. That Sukai, who was rumored to have died, shouted at the United One sect. He expressed that he didn't like the United One sect's attitude. For a treasure, the United One sect sent experts to kill them. Luckily, Dtion appeared and repelled the enemies. He said that he was willing to join the Invincible Palace and work for His Majesty Dtion. This was a huge matter. The United One sect sent experts to kill the giants. Dtion helped. The news spread like wildfire. After the Union sect learned of this, they were infuriated once more. This was blatant slander. Dtion was simply too shameless. It would affect the reputation of the United Sect. Sealed City. They want to attack our Sealed City. Lin Fei was lying down lazily. Sukai stood at the side. They've just sent word that they're mobilizing the sect's experts, saying that they're going to capture Master. Lin Fei smiled. That's a good plan, and the reason is good too. That's perfect. My Sealed City really does need a great battle to show off our might in the Saints' world. Let them know that I am not a country bumpkin from a small place. Sukai said worriedly, Your Majesty, even though the United Sect isn't the strongest sect in the 6 Harmony world, they are still a first-rate sect. Since they have announced this, they will definitely use their strongest force. Shouldn't we? Lin Fei shook his head. There's no need to prepare. I'm already prepared. We're just waiting for them to show up. Ever since the Sealed City was built, Lin Fei knew that such a day would come. If the United Sect didn't come looking for him, he would find a small saint's world to attack. The United Sect was going to attack the Sealed City. The news spread across the entire saint's world under the influence of some people. No one had high hopes for this Dtion, no matter which aspect. Dtion's side was much weaker. There was a huge difference in strength. Even if they had a giant expert, they wouldn't be able to block the attacks of a few mid-stage giant experts. Dtion would definitely lose. This was the common thought of all the factions. Since the United Sect was going to attack, they definitely wouldn't fail. They would definitely go all out to destroy the Sealed City, and even charge into the World Wall battlefield to destroy Dtion's forces. Apart from being a country bumpkin, Dtion was also a rich person in the eyes of others. Moreover, he was a rich person without any deterrence. If they caught him, Curse Palace. The higher-ups of the palace were all here. That Ditian fellow is really dishonest. He offended the United Sect the moment he arrived. This is going to be a good show. A giant was very disappointed. The United Sect is only slightly weaker than us. Ditian probably won't be able to block the attacks of the United Sect's old ghost. I heard that the United Sect is going to send a late-stage giant expert to lead them, along with 3 mid-stage giant experts and 10 early-stage giant experts. The giants present all had complicated feelings towards Ditian. Firstly, when the factions snatched the source fruit, this fellow conned them silently, causing them to be beaten up by the top factions. Everyone was still brooding over this matter. Now, everyone felt that the Curse Palace and Ditian were working together, which was why they were being suppressed in Fuyin World. All of this was caused by Ditian. It wouldn't be wrong to say that they hated Ditian. However, Ditian had given them hope. After they obtained the curse arts from Ditian, everyone's strength soared by leaps and bounds. Even though they had to pay a heavy price, it was clear that they weren't on the same level as Ditian. Palace Head, should we help that Ditian who loves to cause trouble? All the giants looked towards Palace Head Cursed Huan, especially young Master Curse Thunder. His gaze was even more passionate. As the Palace Head, Cursed Huan was also gritting his teeth towards Ditian. If it was an ordinary person, he definitely wouldn't protect him in such a matter. However, Ditian was different. If this person was captured by the United Sect, the Curse Palace would suffer a huge loss. If he really stood up to protect Ditian, Cursed Huan would have to face pressure from within Fuyin World. This matter wasn't easy to handle. Our Curse Palace isn't in a good situation now. We have to save Ditian. Cursed Huan made a decision. If Ditian falls into the hands of those people from the United Sect, it'll be very bad for us. Everyone agreed with Cursed Huan's words. They had to save Ditian. The Curse Palace couldn't lose Ditian. Of course, it would be best if they could control Ditian. Ditian is dead this time. These were the words of Saint Chun Hao, who had suffered multiple times. He only knows how to cause trouble. He really thinks that he can do whatever he wants in the sacred world just because he messed around in the sealed world. The demonic rainbow was in a good mood when she said this. Among the young prodigies, none of them thought highly of Ditian. Even though Ditian had cleared out the world wall battlefield, in the eyes of outsiders, it was like helping someone else. For example, the United Sect. Everyone's gaze was focused on the small sealed city. Chapter 2250. The United One Sect came with a murderous aura. The attention of the sacred world shifted to this small sealed city. Secretly, the big shots were watching the boundary wall battlefield. The secrets in the depths weren't secrets in the eyes of the big shots. The United One Sect thought that they were going to torment Ditian, which was equivalent to giving everyone a chance to watch. He's here. The one in front seems to be the old man Fong Ming who has been cultivating in seclusion. He hasn't shown up for thousands of years, so it's him. I didn't expect him to lead the team. The United One Sect attaches great importance to Ditian. I'm afraid ordinary people aren't qualified to let him lead the team. Ditian is doomed this time. Giant Fong Ming has been famous for a long time. I'm afraid he hasn't fought for thousands of years. I'm afraid his realm is infinitely close to an unparalleled expert, and he has cultivated his own great Tao. Let's just wait and see. The leader was a white-haired old man. He stood straight like a towering tree. He was the leader of the United One Sect, Giant Fong Ming. As soon as Giant Fong Ming arrived, the pressure of a late-stage giant covered the sky. Those who saw it were terrified. The scenery behind him changed. There were beautiful pavilions and pleasant sounds. At the same time, a Jingguang great Tao rose and fell, revealing a chilling, dangerous aura. I didn't expect him to take such an important step and condense the great Tao pattern. I'm afraid Dition doesn't have the strength to resist. The United One sect has another expert. In the void, several powerful divine senses were communicating. Their tone was also much more serious. The great Tao pattern could only be condensed by an expert who was infinitely close to an unparalleled expert. No matter who it was, they would be one of the elites in cultivation when they reached this step. Throughout history, even the most talented people might not be able to cultivate the great Tao pattern. Giant Fongming of the United One sect had cultivated the great Tao pattern and had a high chance of success in the future. Because of this, it was hard not to pay attention to it. Behind Giant Fongming, 3 mid-stage giants and 10 early-stage giants followed closely. If one looked closely, a hint of pride would flash across their faces. Sealed City. Giant Fongming stopped and looked at the sealed city in the distance. Dition, come out. There were many powerful auras peeping around, which made Fongming very uncomfortable. However, those people were not people he could easily offend. This would create a group of enemies for the whole sect. Therefore, Fongming could only let them watch. Boom, boom, boom. The sound was neither loud nor light, but in the ears of the crowd, it was like a bolt out of the blue. Those with weaker cultivation levels swayed, and their faces turned pale as they coughed up blood and fell from the sky. An invisible attack blasted towards the sealed city. In the sky above sealed city, ripples were produced, blocking the invisible attack. Just this attack alone caused the spectators to tremble in fear. The strength of Fongming from the Unity sect had reached such a level. It was truly terrifying and invincible. On the other side, the sealed city had blocked the attack from the late-stage powerhouse, which made people have a whole new level of respect for it. Those who were observant also noticed the changes that occurred to the black pagodas. Old man, you have quite the temper. You're already so old. Is there a need for this? Just when everyone thought that Dition would hole up and not come out, in the sky above sealed city, Lin Fei appeared in front of everyone in a black robe, looking at Fongming with a smile. Fongming didn't like being called an old man, so his impression of Dition became extremely bad. You still have some guts, Fongming said. However, it's useless. No one has ever dared to call me an old man to my face. You're the first one who dares to do so. Either you come out yourself, or I'll personally break your sealed city. The giant behind Fongming glared at Fongming. His eyes seemed to want to shoot Dition on the spot. Ha ha ha! I'm very satisfied to be praised by the old man. Lin Fei laughed. However, I can only say that you're not qualified to ask me to go out. Everyone knows the purpose of your Unity sect. If you want me to go out, show me what you're capable of. You're just a country bumpkin. We don't need our elders to do anything. We can deal with you. The 3 giants in the middle stage behind Fongming shouted and charged over with 10 giants in the early stage. Fongming didn't stop the people behind him from going up. He was just there to keep watch, just in case. With the great path lines that he had cultivated, he could suppress the restless thoughts of many people. The 3 giants in the middle stage were enough to deal with a small sealed city, even if there were 100 of them. Open. The 3 giants in the middle stage each took out their treasures, and so did the 10 giants in the early stage behind them. Boom, 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 boom. More than 10 treasures bombarded the sealed city. In their opinion, the first wave of attack could destroy the sealed city. Even if the formation was there, it wouldn't be able to withstand the bombardment. Well, the attack is not bad. Continue. A throne appeared behind Lin Fei. He turned around and sat on it, saying unhurriedly, It's not broken. Impossible. Ripples swept across the sealed city. The 3 giants in the middle stage also showed a trace of surprise. It's useless to try to scare us. The dozen or so people attacked once more. Every single one of their treasures blasted down, bringing with them world-shaking might. No, not enough strength. Continue. Haven't you eaten enough? No matter how the 10 overlord powerhouses attacked, the sealed city still stood firm and did not collapse. When the huge barrier of light landed on the sealed city, the various factions watching in the dark were greatly startled. They all fixed their gazes on the barrier of light. What a powerful formation! This is the attack of a giant in the middle stage. What formation is this? Why haven't I seen it before? That's right, this is a defense system built by Dtion's defense towers. I didn't expect it to be this powerful. Soon, someone recognized it. People kept coming to ask, "Do you see those black towers?" Rumor has it that they are defense towers. They are very mysterious. That person explained proudly, "These defense towers will automatically absorb the energy of heaven and earth. Unless the heaven and earth collapse, it is very hard to break." Everyone held a skeptical attitude. Was there really such a powerful formation? The experts from the United One sect attacked for the time it takes for an incense stick to burn. In their eyes, the sealed city was still the same. They couldn't even break the defense. It still doesn't work. What the hell? How can there be such a formation? A formation that could block the attacks of a giant in the middle stage was enough to make people take it seriously. The faces of the giants from the United One sect turned ugly. This was a huge setback. They already had a bad impression of bullying the weak. Now that they couldn't even break the sealed city, it wouldn't take long for the news to spread throughout the sacred world. Lin Fei didn't have it easy either. Little Fiend was constantly analyzing the flow of data. This was the first time he used them as test subjects. "Master, I just analyzed. According to this attack efficiency, they won't have a chance to break the defense." Little Fiend sent the analysis. According to the analysis, 10 defense towers can block the attacks of a giant in the late stage. Especially in a place like the sacred world, the heavens where energy is endless. There's no need to worry about the defense towers running out of energy. Good, very good. Lin Fei was very satisfied. Chapter 2251. The entire space fell silent when they heard this. After a while, all kinds of laughter could be heard. This Dtion is really different from the rest. This is too extraordinary. He actually has the mood to promote this kind of array at this time. What a top-grade item. I have to say that the energy defense formation that Dtion is promoting is not ordinary. If it's a second or third-rate sect, they can just place a few defense towers there. Even the big shots would have to stare at them helplessly. A few defense towers are nothing. That's right. That giant Fong Ming hasn't made a move yet. That person has cultivated great Tao veins. Once the great Tao appears, it can destroy the heavens and the earth. So what if Dtion has a defensive pagoda? Everyone had the same thought. However, the appearance of the defense towers tempted many bigwigs. Others might not be able to see through it. But in the eyes of the big shots, the defensive capabilities of the defensive towers were extraordinarily strong. Who didn't want their sect's great array to be strong? If they could set up such a defensive tower, their defensive capabilities would increase by at least a few levels. No matter what, we can't let the United Sect capture them. Deep within the void, the masters of the Curse Palace were ready to teach him a lesson. After witnessing the terrifying defensive capabilities of the defense tower, there was no longer any hesitation. The Curse Palace required such a defensive tower. The experts from the United Sect were flustered and exasperated. Their attacks were not as stable as before, and their rhythm was disrupted. They couldn't wait to charge in, drag Dtion out, and give him a good beating. Only then could he vent his anger. After the time it took for another incense stick to burn, even the overseer Fong Ming's expression turned ugly. A single layer of defense was enough to keep them out. This was simply outrageous. "All of you, stand down." Fong Ming clearly saw that his men could not break the defense. If they continued, they would only make a fool of themselves. His hatred for Dtion increased even further. When he came, Fong Ming had heard of Dtion. This person was one of the dukes of the sealed world or emperor realm. What was this? He didn't even need to do anything. His subordinates could capture Di Tian. Only now did Fong Ming realize that he was gravely mistaken. This fellow really couldn't be treated like an ordinary person. We must capture Di Tian. It must not fall into the hands of outsiders. Fong Ming thought to himself, if the Unity sect has this kind of defense tower, the benefits will be unimaginable. Immediately, Fong Ming called his men down and prepared to take action himself. His thoughts also became urgent. What? You can't take it anymore? Lin Fei smiled. After analyzing the data, Lin Fei was quite relieved. We have plenty of time today. Attack all you want. This emperor will not stop you. The experts who went down almost coughed out blood. After such a ferocious attack, the heavens' mandate in their bodies was completely depleted. How would they have the mood to continue attacking? Di Tian was truly too shameless. What a sharp tongue! Fong Ming stepped forward, and an invisible pressure surged toward the defense tower. Don't think that I'll be afraid of you just because you're playing some dirty tricks. In my eyes, you're nothing. Fong Ming naturally didn't want people to look down on the United Sect. As soon as he came up, he put a crooked hat on the defense tower, making it worthless. This was obviously a blatant lie. He had no choice but to continue. Lin Fei chuckled. Crooked ways? Why don't you try? Fong Ming took the field in person. The big shots in the void all attached great importance to it. If Di Tian's defense tower could withstand Fong Ming's attack, they would have no choice but to reevaluate the young Di Tian. The defense tower would represent unimaginable benefits. They had no choice but to change the way they dealt with Di Tian. The big shots who originally didn't want to intervene had changed their mentality. They didn't want Di Tian to fall into the hands of the United Sect. This old man has been cultivating in seclusion since 1,000 years ago, pursuing the supreme Tao. I'm not interested in anything else. You have already piqued this old man's interest. Fong Ming took a step forward and arrived above the sealed city. Then let this old man experience it. Fong Ming stomped down, and only a loud rumbling sound could be heard in the entire world. The power of this stomp far exceeded the attacks of the 10 big shots from before. Rumble, rumble. Lin Fei on the throne. The surrounding void exploded one after another. In front of this stomp, his body seemed to be on the verge of being torn apart. His qi and blood also began to churn. He immediately activated his invincible defense, and the heavens' mandate energy dissolved the traces of pressure. What a terrifying stomp! This was the first time he saw an attack from a late-stage, big-shot powerhouse. The ripples on the sealed city were extremely bright, as if it couldn't be stopped at any time. Master, our defense tower is about to reach its limit, Little Devil reminded. Lin Fei had been prepared for this. Di Tian, this is still the power of one of my stomps, Fong Ming said lightly. I'm afraid your defense tower is about to reach its limit. Fong Ming wanted to see fear on Di Tian's face, which would be more interesting. Unfortunately, Fong Ming was destined to be disappointed. Who said this is all it can bear? Lin Fei said with a smile and snapped his fingers. Old man, look again. In the sealed city, black defense towers rose from the ground one after another. In a moment, 30 defense towers appeared and joined the defense. What about now? Fong Ming's face darkened. I've underestimated you. Rumble. Another stomp followed, setting off a muffled thunder. This time, Fong Ming didn't dare to have the slightest contempt. Lin Fei smiled again. Attack! Boom! Boom! At close range, hundreds of black cannons emerged from the sealed city. They fired at the same time, and the black light bombarded Fong Ming's body like dense raindrops. My energy unit! Lin Fei felt a pain in his heart. Continue with the second wave. The first wave of attack caught Fong Ming off guard. He couldn't maintain the power under his feet, and the pressure on the defense tower was reduced sharply. A black armor appeared on his body and blocked the attack. What a shameless move! The big shots who were watching were also shocked. They didn't sense the existence of danger at all. They were shocked that Di Tian had such a good thing in his hands. The attack of hundreds of cannons was very shocking. Some giants and powerhouses were so scared that their faces turned pale. If that wave of attack had been aimed at them, they would have been skinned if they didn't die. It was too terrifying. That guy is too shameless. I can't believe he attacked without warning. This time he has aroused the anger of giant Fong Ming. Fong Ming was very angry. His face was gloomy and scary. If the floating cloud armor hadn't blocked the attack, he would have suffered a loss. Who would have thought that Di Tian would be so shameless? Haha, who said that you can attack and I can't fight back? What a joke! While they were talking, the second wave of attack came. You want to hurt me with this kind of attack? It's simply... Fong Ming was ready to attack fiercely. Before he could say the word joke, his left shoulder was blown up on the spot, and it was badly mutilated. You cheated! Fong Ming roared. Curse, paralyze! Lin Fei chanted a curse, and a curse enhanced by the units of source energy blasted at Fong Ming. Chapter 2252. What a perfect numbing spell! And the destructive aura shot from the muzzle. What kind of energy is that? It can actually blow up Fong Ming's entire arm. What a sinister guy! Fong Ming actually suffered a loss. It's unbelievable. Exclamations kept coming from the void. The big shot's eyes were shining for fear of missing Di Tian's every move. A long time ago, everyone knew that Di Tian had mastered a very powerful curse. It was rumored that this curse was even more powerful than the curse of the Curse Palace. Many people did not take it seriously. Today, they finally saw the terrible curse that Di Tian had mastered. Fong Ming was paralyzed by the curse technique, and his body went out of control, which was rare for him. Hundreds of destructive beams bombarded Fong Ming's body again. In an instant, more than a dozen holes appeared on his extremely tough body, and blood was flowing out. We must not offend Di Tian in the future. We can't be careless when facing such a perfect curse. Exactly. Just now, Fong Ming's body was numbed and he lost control. From the time Lin Fei used the numbing spell to the orderly attack of the cannons, it only took a breath. Fong Ming was injured again, and the floating cloud armor was severely damaged. Retreat. Fong Ming retreated for the first time. Although he had lost control of his body for only a moment, Fong Ming did not dare to approach again. Who would have thought that such an attack was set up on the city wall? The most terrifying thing was that the opponent's attack could break through his physical defense. This was enough to make people afraid, even if he was a giant powerhouse. His original intention to break through the sealed city was mostly gone now. He was not confident anymore. Unless he used the great path lines, Fong Ming retreated to a distance, and the wounds on his body recovered one by one. After all, he had suffered a small loss in front of so many people. He did not need to think to know that this matter would quickly spread. He had lost one round. No, it should be the second round. Old thing, isn't it cool? Lin Fei laughed. It was quite painful to hear that. If he did not use the unit of origin energy, he could not break the opponent's defense at all, and the curse would not work. Lin Fei could only use this kind of attack method occasionally. He believed that Fong Ming would never be fooled again. I've really underestimated you. Fong Ming's face darkened as he began to hesitate whether he should continue attacking. You're old and your eyes are blurred. You should go back and enjoy your life. The outside world is so chaotic, it's not suitable for you. Lin Fei ignored the other party's anger. In the void, one had to admit that Di Tian's glib tongue was impressive. You said, a big shot is old? This was a slap in the face. That giant was not someone who had experienced hundreds of battles. Any one of them could destroy a first-rate force. No one had ever dared to say that a giant was old. What you did earlier wasn't bad, but you're not qualified to make me leave just like that. Fong Ming threw caution to the wind. Even if he utilized the attacks of the Grand Tao markings, he still wanted to capture Di Tian. From the beginning of the attack to his own retreat, Fong Ming saw one secret after another. If he could get the secret, he would be able to get it. Perhaps the Unity sect would strengthen once again and become a peak organization in the Saints' world. Is he going to use his ultimate move? Lin Fei did not let his guard down. Fong Ming was not an ordinary giant, but a cultivator who had cultivated the veins of the Great Path and had mastered a higher level of the power of the Great Path. Even though it was not perfect and was only a vague outline, the power that erupted from it was unimaginable. No matter how powerful your ultimate move is, I don't believe that I can't block it with my origin energy units. Lin Fei was ready to use his origin energy units at any time. Fong Ming was indeed going to use his ultimate move. He had to leave dejectedly. He couldn't afford to lose face, nor could he afford to lose the face of the Unity sect. If he didn't want to be a joke, he had to use his ultimate move. Come out, Great Tao markings. Fong Ming became sacred. Behind him, Jingguang's vague Grand Tao appeared in the air. There was only one Grand Tao left between heaven and earth. Everyone felt a sense of suffocation that they had never felt before. This Grand Tao was blurry. Fong Ming landed on the Grand Tao. Slash! The blurry Grand Tao and runes flickered one after another. The huge blurry Grand Tao turned into a golden long sword, and the golden light blasted towards the sealed city. Everyone's eyes were filled with golden light. Master, this level of power is extremely dangerous. The defense tower can't withstand it. As soon as the golden long sword appeared, Lin Fei's eyebrows twitched. Even if he activated the invincible defense, there was still an unstoppable sense of suffocation emerging from the bottom of his heart. This was definitely a terrifying ultimate move. It was far beyond Lin Fei's imagination. Origin energy, bless my body, invincible state. A golden light appeared in front of Lin Fei's eyes and fell heavily on his body. I'm going all out. The origin energy formed a brand new defense, and then his entire body was submerged in a golden light. Fong Ming put away the great Tao markings and sighed in his heart. In order to deal with Di Tian, he had paid a huge price, especially the great Tao markings, which were not perfect and not mature. It would take a long time to recover after activating them. Compared to the importance of Di Tian, Fong Ming felt that everything was worth it. No matter what, he had to bring Di Tian back. I don't believe that you can block the attack of the great Tao markings. Fong Ming was very confident. There had never been a war emperor who could block an attack of this level. Jingguang dispersed. The terrifying aura was still lingering. In his field of vision, the sealed city had turned into ruins. There was a sinkhole in the original position, and the defense towers were all over the place. The power of the sword was terrifying. Is Di Tian dead? Divine senses covered the sky above the sinkhole. At the same time, everyone had the same plan. If Di Tian died, they would send people into the sealed world and eat the invincible palace that Di Tian had left behind. It was a big piece of meat. If Di Tian didn't die under the attack of the great Tao markings, then from this moment on, Di Tian was qualified to enter their field of vision. To put it bluntly, he was a top figure. Without any warning, black defensive towers appeared on the rubble. There were several dozen of them, and they quickly formed a powerful defensive formation. Before everybody's love could even react, their defenses were already connected. Cough, cough! A voice came from the sinkhole. I'm sorry to disappoint you all. A figure jumped out of the sinkhole and appeared in everyone's field of vision. At this moment, Lin Fei looked rather disheveled. The armor on his body was completely destroyed, and there were sword marks all over his body. It was as if he had just come out of a pool of blood. Only his eyes were bright and full of expression. He's still fine. What the hell? What treasure does Di Tian have? He can still survive the attack of the great Tao markings. Seeing Di Tian's disheveled appearance, the big shots were dumbfounded. They had never heard of anyone surviving the attack of the great Tao markings. Di Tian was an exception. Rumor has it that in that era, the unparalleled expert curse had mastered all kinds of powerful curse techniques. One of them was called Body of Curse, which could block all attacks. Could it be? The big shot of the Curse Palace couldn't help but exclaim. Chapter 2253. Uft. Fong Ming was so angry that he vomited blood. There's no justice in this world if he doesn't die. No one knew better than him how powerful this move was. Even a giant late-stage expert would have to pay with half his life if he were to face this sword. Those of other realms would definitely die. He thought that everything would be perfect. When he saw Di Tian jumping around, Fong Ming completely collapsed. That was an attack derived from the great Tao patterns. Could it really be the body of 10,000 curses? Fong Ming didn't know if the big shot of the Curse Palace did it on purpose, or if he had other thoughts. Everyone in the void heard it clearly. It was hard not to know. No, I can't give up. That guy might be pretending to be strong. Fong Ming decided to attack again. But this time, Fong Ming was going to be disappointed. Big shot Fong, you're already a giant. Aren't you afraid of being laughed at for bullying a small combat emperor? The person who stopped Fong Ming was a big shot of the Curse Palace. He was a late-stage giant. You want to help that kid? Fong Ming's heart sank and his eyes twitched. With his strength, he wasn't afraid of anyone but the experts of the Curse Palace. He couldn't figure out why the people of the Curse Palace would be willing to help him. The late-stage giant from the Curse Palace turned around and smiled at Di Tian, who was on the ruins. Little friend Di Tian, with me here, no one can touch a single hair of yours. Lin Fei sat down cross-legged, took out an elixir, and consumed it. He laughed in his heart. Fong Ming is destined to be disappointed this time. If I don't die, no one will dare to make things difficult for me in the future. Anyone who could block an attack from the great Tao patterns would have to consider the consequences. Body of 10,000 curses? That's a good excuse. Lin Fei felt that it was a good deal to get the curse technique from young Master Curse. The fact that the experts of the Curse Palace came out to stop Fong Ming was a good proof. Everyone could see how important Di Tian was. To be able to survive Fong Ming's attack, the significance of it was great. That was why the Curse Palace came out to help. At the very least, Di Tian would owe them a favor. If they worked together again in the future, the Curse Palace would gain more benefits. Fong Ming was stopped by the experts of the Curse Palace. He realized that it would be very difficult to deal with Di Tian today. Big shot Fong, you're a big shot. Why do you have to make things difficult for a small combat emperor? Why don't we all sit down and talk about it? Maybe there's some misunderstanding here. After the Curse Palace stepped out to protect Yi Futian, other forces in the void also stepped out to protect Yi Futian. They were all secretly cursing the Curse Palace for being so shameless and coming out first to leave a good impression. In order to not fall behind the others, these powers all jumped out one after another. Although their words sounded high-sounding, in reality, they were all standing on Di Tian's side. If it was just the Curse Palace, Fong Ming might not be afraid. However, if one or two major forces stepped forward, it would not be easy to deal with them. Especially after activating the Great Path patterns, the consumption was very serious, and his combat power was only about 50% of his usual. Di Tian, just you wait and see. Fong Ming was not a simple-minded person. It would be stupid to take action when he knew that it was impossible. Fong Ming left with his men after leaving behind these ruthless words. He knew clearly in his heart that this trip was a complete failure, and he might not be able to leave if he didn't leave now. Fang Ming's intuition was right. On the way to Huani sect, they were attacked by a mysterious force. They lost 6 experts at the early stage of the giant realm, plus 1 expert at the intermediate stage of the giant realm. Fang Ming himself was seriously injured. Of course, this was a story for another time. Little friend Di Tian, recuperate well. We are very supportive of your adventure guild. I wonder when you will open it to the public. Little friend Di Tian, what's the price of your defense tower? We are very interested in this thing. After Fang Ming left, some forces in the void took the initiative to express their goodwill. Even if they were separated by an array, it was better to leave a good impression first. After this battle, Lin Fei's name shook the entire sacred world. It was rumored that the body of 10,000 curses could block all attacks, and it also spread like wildfire. After that battle, Lin Fei returned to the Invincible Palace to recuperate. Although the attack of the Great Path Patterns was blocked by the origin energy, a part of it still landed on his body. It was a pity that the Heavenly Mandate energy had to constantly neutralize the suppression, and the number of consumption had reached a terrifying figure. A month later, Lin Fei's injuries were completely healed. Your Majesty, the sealed city has been rebuilt. We have rearranged it according to your instructions. There are also many forces in the sacred world that have contacted us privately, wanting to buy the defense tower. During this month, Lin Fei was very relaxed. Although he had consumed a large number of energy units before, which made Lin Fei's heart ache, it was all very worth it. At least, he was no longer a country bumpkin in the sacred world, and no force dared to carry the slogan of killing him. Now, everyone knew that Di Tian had the ability to injure a giant late-stage expert. Because of this, no one dared to act recklessly. In addition, Lin Fei became famous after this battle, and the Adventurers Association attracted the attention of various sacred worlds. Originally, everyone had a lot of resentment about the sacred world restricting them from entering the sealed world. But after the boundary wall battlefield was opened, everyone saw hope. In less than half a month, the sealed city had become a decent city. How is the preparation of the Adventurers Association? Lin Fei took a break from his busy work and paid attention to the Adventurers Association. According to your Majesty's instructions, the preparations are almost done, and we can open it to the public at any time, said the Supreme Demon Emperor. All right, from now on, you will be responsible for the Adventurers Association. You must spread the benefits of the Adventurers Association throughout the sacred world as soon as possible, Lin Fei ordered. 2 months later, under everyone's expectations, the Adventurers Association was established. Cultivators from various sacred worlds entered the sealed world through the boundary wall battlefield. These people who came in were very obedient. This was a place where even the avatars of giants couldn't interfere. On the first day of the Adventurers Association, there were 100,000 people who registered as one-star adventurers. On the second day, there were 150,000, on the third day, 300,000, and on the sixth day, the number exceeded 1 million. The Adventurers Association's energy points were recognized by everyone, especially after the first mission was completed and the energy points were exchanged for a pill. This drove everyone's eagerness to complete the mission. Half a year later, the number of registered members in the Adventurers Association reached hundreds of millions. The source of the Adventurers Association began to spread. Want good things? Go to the Adventurers Association. Want to exchange for powerful puppets? Go to the Adventurers Association. Want good weapons? Go to the Adventurers Association. There was no need for Lin Fei to spread the news. The members of the Adventurers Association were all bragging to their friends. In fact, the Adventurers Association had indeed brought unimaginable benefits to the cultivators of the sacred world. Those things that were thought to be impossible to obtain were no longer extravagant dreams. At this time, cursed thunder from the Cursed Palace came. After calculating the time, you guys should be here by now. Lin Fei received Curse Thunder and his group in a courtyard. I heard that your majesty is interested in powerful corpses. These are a small gift from the Curse Palace. Curse Thunder brought a gift as soon as he arrived. The corpse of a giant of the United Sect. Chapter 2254. This was a valuable gift. I didn't expect you guys to be so capable. You actually brought the corpses of the United One Sect. Aren't you afraid that the experts from the United One Sect will come after you? Lin Fei might be tempted, but he didn't show much emotion on his face. Curse Thunder said with a smile, "Your Majesty, you don't need to worry about this. The United Sect doesn't have the mood to seek revenge. They have lost 6 experts at the initial stage of Giant Realm and 1 at the intermediate stage. The United Sect can only accept this loss. 6 early-stage giant corpses and 1 mid-stage giant corpse would be a great help to Lin Fei. With a slight modification, they would be a proper pseudo-giant, and they would be stronger than the heavy spearmen. Then I will accept this gift." Lin Fei didn't stand on ceremony. "Just tell me what you want. I won't accept your gift for nothing." Cursed Thunder and Cursed Lawless looked at each other. Joy flashed in their eyes. These corpses were actually obtained by the Curse Palace in collaboration with outsiders. They wanted to leave a good impression in Di Tian's eyes. As for why they would use the corpses as gifts, this was something that the Curse Palace had spent a lot of effort to find out. They were right. Di Tian really liked the corpses of the giants. "We would like to exchange for some powerful curse techniques from your majesty, such as numbing curse techniques or the body of 10,000 curses. No matter what your majesty wants, the Curse Palace will fulfill it." Curse Thunder stood up and said, "After the battle in Sealed City, the Curse Palace didn't dare to underestimate this young Di Tian anymore. Currently, the organization that Lin Fei wanted to cooperate with the most was none other than the Curse Palace. This is not impossible." Lin Fei said, "I need to talk to your higher-ups. It would be best if your palace lord could come. For example, we can deal with the United One Sect together." Cursed Thunder and Cursed Lawless were shocked. Di Tian's appetite is huge. After sending Cursed Thunder and Cursed Lawless away, Lin Fei inspected the 7 corpses. Every corpse was in good condition. It could be seen that this was an ambush without any warning. The results were gratifying. "I finally created a true giant puppet." An early-stage giant could only be made into a pseudo-giant puppet by Lin Fei. A mid-stage giant could make a complete early-stage giant puppet. Lin Fei was in a good mood because of this. The heavy spearmen could only deal with half-step giants. It was not impossible to deal with an early-stage giant expert, but the losses would be great unless it was absolutely necessary. Lin Fei would never use it. After the corpse was made, Lin Fei had a good knife in his hand, and it was the sharp kind. Chu Huan had arrived. In order to show his sincerity, the palace master came one night. "Your Majesty is so capable. I have long admired you." Chu Huan didn't bring any outsiders with her. He was very polite the moment he arrived. This was something that would never happen outside. Di Tian had the right to do so. Di Tian was a late-stage giant, yet he didn't die under the attacks of the great Dao patterns. He was definitely someone capable. "I have also heard a lot about you, Palace Master." Flattery was free. Since the other party was polite, Lin Fei would naturally be polite as well. The 2 of them chatted happily. "I heard that His Majesty wants to deal with the United Sect." Chu Huan asked, "I am never one to suffer losses." Lin Fei expressed his attitude. "The United Sect framed me for no reason, and I am very unhappy. I am prepared to deal with the United Sect. I wonder if Palace Master Chu is interested." Of course, she was interested. If she wasn't interested, Chu Huan wouldn't have come in person. "You know the strength of the United Sect. Although it isn't a first-rate sect, it still has a peerless expert." Chu Huan frowned. No, it is that easy to deal with. How could Lin Fei not know what the other palace masters were thinking? Palace Master Chu, as long as you stop the United Sect when they send out a late-stage giant or even a peerless expert, I can give you the paralysis technique. Lin Fei laughed in his heart. I don't believe that you won't take the bait. Chu Huan was indeed scheming. However, Di Tian was too direct with his words and threw out what he wanted. For example, the paralysis technique. Compared to the paralysis technique from young Master Chu, the power in Lin Fei's hands had increased by quite a bit. Even though it could not reach the level of origin energy units, it was still more than a little stronger than a normal numbing curse. You know, we will also give you a paralysis curse scroll. Palace Lord should know what to do with this kind of thing. With such a treasure scroll, it will be able to lend you a helping hand at a critical moment. Lin Fei gave her some sweeteners. Also, as long as your curse palace kills a giant and gives the corpse to me, I can give you a batch of curse mages at the War Emperor level. The benefits were great. Joy flashed in Chu Huan's eyes. Since a long time ago, Chu Huan had known that Di Tian was interested in powerful corpses. The gift that he had given Di Tian was actually a test. Without a doubt, this test was very successful. Although she didn't know what Di Tian wanted the corpses for, it didn't affect what was going to happen next. Since the benefits were so great, Chu Huan also knew that she had to give an answer. One high-level curse technique is not enough. I need at least 10. She began to bargain. Lin Fei wasn't someone who was easy to deal with. If he gave it all at once, it would be hard to negotiate in the future. An overlord and a new feudal lord began to bargain. After the time it took for an incense stick to burn, they finally came to an agreement. Lin Fei gave 3 types of curse techniques and a giant's corpse in exchange for 150,000 curse mages. The half-step giant's corpse in exchange for 10,000 curse mages. The curse palace needed to expand its strength. The giant's corpse in exchange for curse mages that Lin Fei mentioned was the best choice. Thinking that the half-step giant's corpse could be exchanged for 10,000 curse mages, Chu Huan couldn't wait to go out and kill a batch of half-step giants' corpses. No one knew that the corpses trade that would affect the entire sacred world would start today. Those rogue half-step magnates and even rogue magnates started to suffer. The hunting giant adventurers became the nemesis of these powerhouses. Of course, this was a story for another time. Chu Huan returned to the Curse Palace immediately and gathered all the giant powerhouses for a meeting. Palace Master, this is a good thing. If we can continuously obtain curse mages, saber slaves, and sword slaves from Di Tian, it won't take long for the Curse Palace's strength to increase by more than 10 times. Palace Master, I'm willing to go out and kill giant powerhouses and even half-step giants. This concerns the future of the Curse Palace. After hearing about the cooperation, the powerhouses of the Curse Palace all revealed looks of joy. This was definitely a good opportunity to expand the Curse Palace. Kill giants? They weren't afraid. The Curse Palace was very satisfied with the first batch of curse mages. If the Curse Palace were to nurture them themselves, it would take at least 1,000 years. The giants were very satisfied with the curse mages that came from Di Tian. Chu Huan agreed with this method of cooperation. Where else could they find such a good deal? Did Di Tian have a motive? Wasn't it just corpses? Since they were useless to them, they might as well exchange them for a batch of powerhouses. Palace Master, regarding the half-step giants, we can start from our prefecture, Cloud World. We can use this opportunity to clean up some of the people of the Curse Palace who oppose us. Chapter 2255. Those people from Curse Palace are really interesting. This is a good reason. Lin Fei could not help but laugh when he heard the news from his spies. Ever since the battle at Sealed City, Lin Fei had secretly sent out a large number of spies to various small sacred worlds to build an intelligence system. At least now, Lin Fei could know some of the major events in each sacred world. That was the situation in Cloud Prefecture World. It turned out that after the Curse Palace Master returned, 2 days later, an energy wave erupted from Curse Palace. The wave did not calm down for a long time. After he left, a giant powerhouse made a move. The next day, Curse Palace announced to the outside world, "Last night a mysterious person invaded Curse Palace and stole their curse techniques and treasures. Curse Palace is very angry and has decided to take action against the forces in Cloud Prefecture World." Cloud Prefecture World was very big. Although Curse Palace was not the strongest force, it was still top-notch. Even the Holy Lord had to give them face. Moreover, after such a thing happened, it would be inexcusable if Holy Lord Fu Yin did not let Curse Palace vent their anger. If they caused trouble, Holy Lord Fu Yin would not feel good either. Holy Lord Fu Yin turned a blind eye, but the forces in Cloud Prefecture World suffered. Those who had conflicts with Curse Palace were directly suppressed by Curse Palace. Half-step giants. Dissatisfied? Kill. Giant powerhouses were dissatisfied. Kill. That was how domineering Curse Palace was. This time, Curse Palace suppressed and destroyed dozens of forces, killing 5 early-stage giant powerhouses and more than 100 half-step giant powerhouses. This was only after Holy Lord Fu Yun saw that the situation was not good and personally talked to the Curse Palace Master. Only then did Curse Palace order a retreat. "Your Curse Palace is so amazing." On a dark and windy night, Curse Thunder came with a gift. 5 early-stage giant powerhouses and more than 100 half-step giant powerhouses. Cloud Prefecture World. The Curse Palace's actions made the forces in Cloud Prefecture World realize that Curse Palace was not as good-tempered as they thought. "It's just SOO." Although Curse Thunder said so, he still had a hint of pride on his face. "If not for Holy Lord Fu Yun coming to stop us, I would have destroyed 3 or 4 first-rate forces to reduce their prestige." Lin Fei checked the corpses. They were in good condition. The corpses are not bad, just like what we said last time. 1 half-step giant for 10,000 curse mages. 5 giant powerhouses for 500,000 curse mages. The exchange for curse mages was not as troublesome as before. War Emperor level curse master. Lin Fei had arranged for them to be at the level of 1 to 2-star combat emperors. To the Curse Palace, it was still a precious treasure. Everyone knew that curses weren't easy to cultivate, let alone reaching the combat emperor level. Father asked me to pass this message to His Majesty. The Curse Palace is ready. We can set off to the 6 Harmony World at any time. Curse Thunder said respectfully after completing the transaction. Lin Fei nodded. "Tell him that we will depart from the 6 Harmony World 3 days later." 6 Harmony World, the 20th floor of the 33 Sacred Worlds. It was Lin Fei's first time coming to this place. On a lofty peak in the 6 Harmonies World, Lin Fei had been waiting for Chu Huan. Chu Huan's main body had come personally. At the same time, he had brought along 3 Curse Palace elders who were at the later stage of the Great Divinity Realm. "My apologies, I was delayed on the road. Sorry to keep you waiting." When Chu Huan arrived, Lin Fei was already there. He took the initiative to apologize. Their previous cooperation had also given the Curse Palace some peace of mind. "It's all right, I just arrived." Lin Fei changed the way he addressed Chu Huan. Chu Huan was not anxious or impatient towards Di Tian. His impression of Di Tian improved a lot. This Di Tian was indeed someone who could do great things. Even though he was very jealous of Di Tian's method of nurturing curse masters and had once thought of snatching them away, in the end he suppressed this thought, especially when he saw that Di Tian was able to block the attack of an expert with great Dao patterns. He was glad that he didn't make a move. Otherwise, he would really become the biggest joke in the sacred world. Now, the Union sect had become a joke for everyone. During this period of time, the disciples of the Union sect didn't dare to go out. No one was willing to be criticized by others, but they couldn't do anything about it. Little friend, how do you plan to do it? Chu Huan was very curious. To be able to launch an attack against the Union sect at the Combat Emperor realm. Not many people in the entire sacred world would dare to do so, even with Chu Huan's help. I heard that the Union sect has a fiefdom in the Six Harmony world. I plan to attack them head-on, and no matter what, I will make the Union sect pay the price. Palace Master Curse only needs to block the sect leader of the Union sect. If you can block the expert with great Tao patterns, I will be extremely grateful. Lin Fei cupped his hands and said. Chu Huan said straightforwardly, Little friend, you are very bold. The Union sect is not a top power. If the Union sect leader dares to make a move, I will naturally help you block him. The Union sect was a first-rate power. In the Six Harmony world, any first-rate power could have a piece of land, which was bestowed by the Six Harmony Holy Lord. Recently, the Union sect had not been having good time. First, one of the two great leaders had died, and the other had betrayed them. Then, they had fallen in front of a little bumpkin, and had helped someone else's reputation. On the way back, the unlucky Union sect was ambushed by an expert, and in a single round, they killed 6 of the early-stage great leaders and one of the middle-stage great leaders. In this situation, Fong Ming had no choice but to use the great Tao patterns to attack again, barely intimidating the other party, and hurriedly left with his men. This time, the Union sect's vitality was greatly damaged. The disciples of the Union sect were also restrained, and the entire Union sect was shrouded in a gloomy cloud. The entire Union sect had a deep grudge against that bumpkin, Ditian. If it was not for him, the Union sect would not have suffered such a heavy blow. In the small saint world, the other first-rate powers took the opportunity to cause trouble, and during this period of time the Union sect was in a rather bad situation. This was the rule of every sacred world. The high and mighty Holy Lord would never interfere in such matters, and would only come out to stop it when it was a big problem. Usually, they would not care about small matters. The Union sect situation was not good, but in the Union sect's land, the Union sect did not look any different from usual. In the night sky, a group of people descended above the land. Master, what we are seeing now is the Union sect's land. Su Kai was wearing a black robe, and he stood beside Lin Fei. In this land, the Union sect controls over a dozen important mining areas. Before coming here, Lin Fei had understood the situation of the Union sect, and he had a rough idea. Now that he saw the entire Union sect's land, he had a better idea. Do as I said, bring your men and take action. Behind Lin Fei, a few people flew out. Apart from them, the most important trump card was brought over, the heavy armored spearmen. Kill! In the night sky, there were a total of 50 heavy armored spearmen in a team of 1,000. They charged towards the Union sect's land. At this moment, a ferocious tiger came out of the cage. It had taken a long time to accumulate these 50,000 heavy spearmen. In the Union sect's land, at an important mining area, a treasure the size of a small mountain smashed down, and there was a loud explosion, and it was really ear-piercing in the night sky. Enemy attack! A half-step giant flew out, and his face was filled with rage. This was the Union sect's land, and someone actually came to attack? What an audacious act! So. A sound spread out and covered the half-step giant. Then this fellow fell from the sky and smashed into a pile of ores, and he died with his eyes wide open. Chapter 2256. That night, as miserable cries reverberated in the night sky, the assault on the Union sect began. In the night sky, Lin Fei stood quietly. Within his field of vision, the nearest mining area had been breached by the heavily armed spearmen. The half-step magnates were riddled with holes the moment they arrived, not to mention the rest. Lin Fei's figure flashed and appeared in the mining area. He sneaked into the mining area and released the devouring worms that he had exchanged. No one could tell what was going on, and it wouldn't take long before the mining area became an empty shell. Every mining area was quickly breached, and 1 or 2 half-step magnates became meaningless. They couldn't stop the charge of the heavily armed spearmen at all. Swish, swish, swish. The sky was filled with the sound of long spears piercing through the air, and a large number of mining area guards were swept down. Even combat emperors suffered the same fate. What powerful spearmen! They must be Di Tian's trump card. Chu Huan's eyes were filled with shock. He had seen half-step magnates before, but it was rare to see one as ferocious and terrifying as the one in front of him. So terrifying! The armor on the spearman's body and even the weapons in his hands are all very rare. I wonder what they are made of. Palace Master, if our curse palace can get a half-step magnate of this level, we won't have to fear any forces in the future. No one will be able to stop the charge of the spearmen. The elders at the back were completely moved. It was impossible for them not to be moved. They had originally thought that Di Tian's greatest trump card was the Curse Sorcerer, but from the looks of it, it wasn't as simple as they had imagined. Di Tian's mysteriousness was beyond their imagination. Those fellows who look down on Di Tian are probably going to suffer a great loss. Chu Huan realized that he had made the right decision to come here. Who knew that this kid had another trump card? How brilliant! Chu Huan continued. When the experts of the Union sect come out, all of you have to do your best. Don't let Di Tian look down on us. In the beginning, Chu Huan did have some thoughts, but when he saw the tens of thousands of spearmen coming out, he didn't dare to have other thoughts. Instead, he started to take this cooperation seriously. No matter what, he had to succeed this time. Enemy attack. This is too terrifying. Even half-step magnates can't stop the charge of the enemy. How are we going to fight them? Retreat. At the back of the Union sect, there were panicking cultivators everywhere. The half-step powerhouses of the Unity sect gathered together and rushed out, but they were attacked by the heavy armored soldiers. More than half of them were wiped out in an instant, and the remaining half were also injured. They were not willing to give up and counterattack again. Just like the last time, many of them fell. Looking at the other side, the number of people they killed could be counted on one hand. When their attacks landed on the other side's body, it was as if they were bombarding a hard rock. The other side's spear was even more terrifying. Even if they were wearing battle armor, it was useless. They were completely terrified. They were of the same realm, but in terms of equipment, they were far inferior to the other party. It was a complete massacre. Since they couldn't win, they could only retreat. At this moment, in their eyes, these armored fellows with spears in their hands seemed to have transformed into terrifying demons. The Unity sect suffered heavy losses. This is the sealed area of the one sect. How can you behave so atrociously? A long howl came from the center of the door. Then a sharp light shot out and hit a small team. Great! The elders have made their move. They can't stop them. Kill them all. The fleeing Unity sect disciples all revealed a look of joy. To them, the giant elder would definitely be able to kill them all. Kill! Many furious shouts rang out. Blades and swords whistled, blasting the heavy armored spearmen away. They smashed into the building of the Unity sect, causing many ruins to appear. The next scene caused them to be shocked, and a trace of horror flashed in their eyes. The heavy armored spearmen that were blasted away weren't killed as expected. Apart from a few unlucky fellows, the rest of them only had their battle armor dented. They didn't seem to be injured at all. They headed straight for the giant elder. The giant elder would never look down on a half-step giant. But at this moment, the heavy armored spearmen launched a ferocious attack. For a moment, the giant elder was flustered. This was a very rare occurrence. The giant elder can come over here too. Lin Fei had been paying attention to the situation. Seeing the giant elder fly out, Lin Fei didn't care, especially since he was only at the initial giant realm. Although he was much stronger, it was nothing to the armed, heavy armored spearmen. Giant spearmen, move out! Lin Fei prepared a set of gifts for the giant elder. Everyone, let's attack together. These spearmen aren't as strong as us. They only have strong defenses. Once we break through their armor, they'll be nothing. A giant elder of the Unity sect shouted. After exchanging blows for a while, the giant elder realized the weakness of these heavy armored spearmen. However, the treasures and spears on them were very stimulating to them. Relying on their armor and spears, they were able to fight with them. This was something that was impossible under normal circumstances. If the Unity sect could obtain these armors and spears, it would be of great help to the sect's strength. This was something that was unimaginable under normal circumstances. Palace Lord, their giant elder has made his move. Should we go and help? Seeing Di Tian's trump card, the Curse Palace's elders decided to go all out. They wouldn't embarrass the Curse Palace. Not for now. Chu Huan shook her head. Di Tian should be prepared. Even Chu Huan wanted to see what Di Tian could do. Swish, swish, swish. Without any warning, the sound of something tearing through the air reverberated. It was a team of 8 people. They were dressed like heavy armored spearmen, but their auras were much stronger. Their spears swept toward a giant elder, and their momentum was even more shocking. In just a single exchange, the giant elder of the Unity sect was sent flying, and he crashed into a building. The second round of attacks followed. 8 figures followed closely behind and blasted into the ruins. A huge crater appeared in the ruins, and dust flew everywhere. Inside the ruins, the giant elder's body was filled with bloody holes. His pupils shrank as the third wave of attacks blasted over. One of the spears pierced through the elder's head. The defense of a giant elder was clearly not enough in front of the spear. They killed the elder. Everyone felt as if they had been hit in the head. They had only been fighting for a short period of time, but their Unity sect had already lost an early-stage giant elder. Under the encirclement of 8 spearmen, he couldn't even last for a few breaths. Everyone be careful. They are all giant experts. They were all puppet giants. Lin Fei had also equipped them with weapons. Apart from that, he had also infused a trace of origin energy into the spearhead, causing that bit of power to reach a terrifying level. This was also the main reason why they could break through the giant expert's defense. What a powerful team! Chapter 2257. Bang, bang, bang. Bang, bang, bang. The 8-man squad transformed into fierce tigers. Spear shadows followed them as they pierced through the air. They really came and went without a trace. However, all of the giant powerhouses who came up to greet them would show signs of defeat after a few exchanges, not to mention the heavy-armored spearmen who were chasing after them. Often, when they managed to deal with one side, the other side's attack would arrive, and they would be in a mess for a while. Hurry up and inform the elders. They're too ferocious. We can't stop them. The elders looked at each other. This mysterious person was extremely terrifying. Although they were furious, they could only count on the elders of the upper echelons. From the start of the attack until now, the United Sect was in a disadvantageous position. The loss of a half-step giant would definitely be heart-wrenching, not to mention the fact that they had lost an initial giant realm elder. With such a huge commotion, the entire Unity Sect was alarmed. When they saw the corpses outside, all of them looked as if they had lost their lives. How dare you come to the Unity Sect and act so presumptuously? Don't even think of leaving. A late-stage giant powerhouse rushed out. With a wave of his hand, a giant hand pressed down, killing more than 10 heavy spearmen on the spot. Yes, the United Sect is not a place where you can come and go as you please. Hearing the noise, Fong Ming came out of his closed-door training. When he saw the United Sect in a mess, he was also furious. Since he suffered a loss in the sealed city, he had been suppressing his anger. Even though the United One sect's vitality was greatly damaged, not everyone could touch the United One sect. As soon as Fong Ming arrived, he, together with a few other experts in the late stage of the giant realm, formed a powerful force of the United Sect. They turned the situation around and killed thousands of heavy-armored spearmen. As expected of a great sect, Lin Fei had been monitoring the situation through the system. It's time for them to make their move. The reason why Lin Fei invited the experts from Curse Palace was to deal with the late-stage giant powerhouses. In addition, there was also the old ancestor of the United Sect. If it was not for the fact that he did not have the strength to deal with powerhouses of this level, Lin Fei would not have invited the experts from Curse Palace. This was the correct move. Lin Fei had already prepared himself for the death of 1 to 2,000 heavy gunner soldiers. Heavy spear soldiers are still too weak in the face of a giant mid-stage powerhouse. Lin Fei sighed softly. Now it's time for us to act. Chu Huan kept watching. After this battle, the Unity sect will need at least 1,000 years to recover their current strength. That brat Di Tian has such a trump card. No matter which faction it will be very strenuous to deal with it. The 3 late-stage powerhouses behind him were ready to make a move. Whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. 3 late-stage powerhouses dressed in black robes attacked the powerhouses who were massacring the heavily armed spearmen. Paralysis curse. Weakened curse. Curse technique. Cloud extinguishing slash. The 3 late-stage magnates attacked with all their strength, and their minds were connected to each other. He attacked a late-stage giant powerhouse as soon as he appeared. The experts of the Unity sect didn't expect that there would be a giant expert hiding. This late-stage giant elder was out of luck. He was weak and had been hit. *CK, I hit it. Spell master. This giant expert was terrified. The crescent moon-like cloud extinguishing slash descended from the sky and killed this late-stage giant on the spot. This was also one of the curse palaces that had been strengthened. Its might was much greater than before, and its might was even greater when used. This was especially so when used in a situation like this where the opponent was completely defenseless and could kill an expert of the same cultivation level. That was very normal. The 3 elders of the curse palace who attacked were also shocked. They had the intention of repelling the enemy, and they didn't expect to kill the enemy. The people of the Curse Palace are here. Why are they here? This is the 6 Harmony world. When Fong Ming and the other 2 elders saw this scene, they gasped from the bottom of their hearts and were immediately filled with endless rage. Curse, cloud extinguishing slash. Curse, weaken curse. After killing the late-stage giant expert of the Unity sect, the 3 elders of the Curse Palace didn't stop. They charged toward the giant experts. They had received orders from the palace master to kill as many giant experts as possible. If they killed one, the strength of the Curse Palace would increase. The giant experts of the Unity sect were unlucky. This was especially so for the elders of the early-stage giant experts. Facing the ferocious experts of the Curse Palace, they were so weak that they couldn't even withstand a single blow. In a short period of time, they lost 5 early-stage giant experts. Quick, stop them. Fong Ming's eyes were bloodshot. Preposterous. This matter isn't over between the Unity sect and the Curse Palace. At this moment, the sect master of the Unity sect, Yangzi, charged out angrily. He took out a treasure and killed over 100 heavy spearmen on the spot. Even so, it couldn't extinguish the burning anger in his heart. These were the foundation of the Unity sect. It was an absolute annihilation blow. Lu Hezi wasn't at the unparalleled realm. Like Fong Ming, he had condensed a great Tao pattern, but it took him a little longer. The 3 experts of the Curse Palace were able to withstand the attacks at the beginning. However, when the opponent used the great Tao pattern to attack, they were immediately at a disadvantage, and injuries were left on their bodies. Yangzi, your opponent should be me. A sacrificial altar came crashing down. The boundless aura of the curse formed a terrifying domain. Yangzi's expression changed slightly. He threw more than 10 punches at the sacrificial altar while retreating rapidly. Palace Master Curse. That's right, it's me. Chu Huan revealed herself. Do you still want to fight me? The attack from the sacrificial altar made Lu Hezi feel immense pressure. Palace Master Curse, what do you mean by this? Why did you attack the Unity Sect? If you don't give an explanation, the Master of Sagely Sky won't let you off, Yangzi shouted, his eyes filled with fear. Chu Huan laughed loudly. The Unity Sect killed the disciples of the Curse Palace. Is that a reason? As soon as she finished speaking, Chu Huan took out a curse technique. Curse technique paralysis. Her target was Yangzi. Chu Huan pointed with a finger. Curse technique, curse finger. Yangzi was infinitely close to the unparalleled realm, but there was still a gap between him and Chu Huan. The finger pierced through his chest. You can't do it. Get your old ancestor to come out. Chu Huan stood with her hands behind her back. I don't want people to say that I'm bullying the weak. Cough, cough, cough. Yangzi vomited blood. Fang Ming and the other two rushed back immediately. They stood beside the sect master and glared at Chu Huan's group. Without the help of Fang Ming and the other late-stage powerhouses, the 3 elders of the Curse Palace had nothing to worry about. They continued to hunt down powerhouses at the level of powerhouses at the level of giants. Even half-step giants were their targets. Puff, puff, puff. Chu Huan still stood with her hands behind her back. However, Fang Ming and the other 2 had wounds on their bodies. Traces of curse technique energy surrounded them, preventing them from healing. Chu Huan, you're going too far. Yangzi was furious. The few strongest elders of the Unity Sect attacked together, but they couldn't do anything to Chu Huan. Instead, wounds were left on their bodies. My disciples aren't that easy to kill, Chu Huan said. If your old ancestor doesn't make a move, I'll destroy the entire Unity Sect. How arrogant. You dare to destroy the Unity Sect? Try it if you dare. With a rumble, 3 palm shadows shot towards Chu Huan from the depths of the Unity Sect. At the same time, a disdainful aura shot into the sky, shocking the entire 6 Harmony world. Chapter 2258. Unparalleled Expert. They were top figures in any small saint world. They were able to build a top faction for a long time because they had enough accumulation and weren't afraid of time. If one could live after offending a giant expert, then one would definitely die if they offended an unparalleled expert. There was no such thing as luck. The moment the old ancestor of Unity Sect appeared, all the factions in 6 Harmony World were shocked. 6 Harmony World, 6 Harmony Peak. This was an endless mountain that pierced through the clouds. It was covered in white mist, and one couldn't see the end of it. 6 Harmony City was on this mountain peak. 6 Harmony Saint Leader lived on this mountain peak and was also the controller of 6 Harmony World. Cursed joy, he actually attacked Unity Sect. He is really bold. Is he trying to deal a heavy blow to Unity Sect? Within the palace in the city, 6 Harmony Saint Leader walked out and frowned. He didn't like what Cursed Joy was doing. After all, this wasn't Floating Cloud's world. Saint Leader, should we send someone to stop him? His aide asked carefully. 6 Harmony Saint Leader relaxed his brows. No need for now. I heard that Cursed Joy's curse techniques are heaven-defying. I want to see what is worth him causing trouble in 6 Harmony World. No one has ever dared to cause trouble in 6 Harmony World. The old ancestor actually came out. Even the Curse Palace head came personally. This is unbelievable. When did Unity Sect offend Curse Palace? They have suffered huge losses this time. Curse Palace is so terrifying. Their subordinates are actually so strong. Also, those people with spears are even more terrifying when they kill people. The commotion spread out from Unity Sect, and all the factions stared at Unity Sect. Unity Sect was a top faction in Six Harmony World, with an unparalleled old ancestor who dared to offend Six Harmony World. Even Six Harmony Saint Leader had to give them face. Curse Palace sent troops to attack Unity Sect? It was a very rare occurrence. No one knew. Recently, after Unity Sect suffered a loss at the hands of Tion, they had been keeping a low profile. Many people predicted that for a long period of time, Unity Sect would keep a low profile until the day they recovered their strength. Curse Palace killed their disciple, and the palace had personally attacked them. They even forced the old ancestor out. Wasn't this making a big deal out of nothing? No matter what the reason was. This was the first time that the Curse Palace had displayed its terrifying prowess in front of everyone. Palace Master Mantra, who had yet to ascend to the unparalleled realm, dared to face the wrath of the Unity Old Ancestor at this time. Unity Ancestor. Above the mining area, Lin Fei was secretly shocked. This aura is too strong. I wonder if Palace Master Curse can withstand it. In the entire space, powerful auras tore apart the void. Even from far away, one could still feel the pressure from the supreme experts. You think I'm afraid of you? The three palm prints came one after another, and each of them contained terrifying mysteries of the great path. Will become insignificant. However, Chu Huan did not show any fear. He had long wanted to compete with a matchless expert. If it was in the past, he might be afraid, but after mastering a higher-level curse technique, he became more confident. His curse techniques were close to the 10 great cultivation techniques and were not any weaker than them. His combat power was naturally not to be underestimated. Curse technique in Curse Finger. Curse, paralyze. Curses. Great prophecy technique. A sacrificial altar landed below Chu Huan. When he stood on it, his entire aura surged. Originally, his aura was inferior to the Unity Old Ancestor, but with the help of the sacrificial altar, his aura was not inferior to the Unity Old Ancestor. No wonder you dared to mess around in the Unity Sect. It turns out that you have brought a matchless treasure, the Blood Curse Divine Altar. The Unity Old Ancestor sneered. This old man will tell you that external objects are external objects after all. Even if your aura is not inferior to this old man, you are still inferior to this old man. You will know after you try. Chu Huan activated the sacrificial altar. Phantoms appeared one after another, emitting a powerful aura and opening up a terrifying domain. Tyrannical and terrifying curse techniques were cast from his hands. I didn't expect that Palace Master Mantra to be so powerful. This is almost the combat power of a matchless expert. No wonder he has the confidence to fight against the 6 Unity Old Ancestor. From today onwards, this Curse Palace Lord has stepped into the level of matchless experts. No one will dare to look down on him anymore. The 6 Unity Old Ancestor was a matchless expert after all. His combat power was far beyond Chu Huan's imagination. Although he had the Blood Curse Divine Altar to enhance his combat power, he was still inferior. All kinds of curse techniques came out one after another, but most of them were defeated by the great Tao energy. He was gradually at a disadvantage. However, it was not easy for the 6 Unity Old Ancestor to make a move against the most troublesome Curse Palace. Compared to the previous curse techniques, the power of this curse technique had increased by a lot. It was not easy to deal with it. He did not dare to take it lightly. In the sky, the 2 experts exchanged blows and kept a distance between them. The surroundings of the 2 had formed a zone of death. Even the late-stage magnates could feel the aura of death. This is not good. Lin Fei had been paying attention to the situation. Chu Huan's strength was beyond his imagination. No wonder he dared to fight against matchless experts. As expected of the mainstream of that era, As time passed, Lin Fei could see that the balance of victory was tilting towards the Unity Old Ancestor. This was not what Lin Fei wanted to see. No, I have to help him. As long as Chu Huan could block the Unity Old Ancestor's attack and cause the other party to be fearful, the Unity sect could only endure this loss and plan for the long term. Curse technique, weaken. Curse technique, paralyze. Curse technique, poison. Lin Fei did not know anything else, but he was confident in casting curse techniques in the dark. In order to not be discovered, Lin Fei instructed the little devil to conceal his aura. He believed that the Unity Old Ancestor would not be able to find his whereabouts. 3 curses weren't that powerful. This was where Lin Fei was sinister. On the surface, curse techniques and ordinary curse techniques did not pose any threat. It was especially so in the eyes of a peak expert like the Unity Old Ancestor. They were nothing. The great Tao circled around them, and they could be easily nullified. However, this time, the Unity Old Ancestor fell for it. When he discovered that the curse techniques were flying towards him, he swept his divine sense and no longer paid attention to it. He focused on dealing with a powerful enemy, Chu Huan. The 3 curse techniques landed on the Unity Old Ancestor's body. The great Tao power did not have the destruction curse technique. It passed through the seal and landed on the Unity Old Ancestor's body. On the spot, the Unity Old Ancestor's face turned green. He was poisoned. After that, his movements began to slow down. His heart sank and his pupils contracted. The most terrifying thing was that this curse technique could not be dispelled in a short period of time. It was very difficult to deal with. He has been hit by the curse technique. Quickly do it. Lin Fei transmitted his voice to Chu Huan. In fact, Chu Huan revealed a hint of joy when he saw that the Unity Old Ancestor was acting strangely. The heavens are helping me. Unity Old Ancestor, receive my ultimate move. A terrifying curse technique was cast out. Sun Moon Double Kill. Chapter 2259. The 6 Harmony Worlds expression changed the moment the double death of sun and moon was unleashed. Everyone was shocked by the power of this curse technique. After all, this was Chu Huan's trump card. Under normal circumstances, he rarely used it. Even if he used it, no one could spread it, because they were all dead people. Is this the Curse Palace's most powerful skill, the Sun-Moon Double Kill? The 6 directions, Sacred Lord looked over and revealed a look of surprise. I've long heard that the Curse Palace has a few great curse techniques, and one of them, the Sun-Moon Double Slaughter, is the strongest. It contains the Tao of Yin and Yang. Now that I've seen it for myself, I can see that it lives up to its reputation. The rest of the bosses were also very shocked. They were all trying to find a flaw in the curse, trying to crack it so that they wouldn't be at a loss when encountering such a top-notch curse in the future. Unfortunately, this kind of rare curse technique was not something they could easily break. This is too mysterious. As expected of an era's legacy, I can't break it. From now on, it's best if I don't provoke the powerhouses of the Curse Palace. They're really not easy to deal with. So what if he used a curse technique? Old Ancestor, Heyi's strength is not something that Happy Curse can resist. In the end, it was all for nothing. First Yang, the utmost Yang. The month was filled with extreme Yin. The sun and moon intersected, the moon within the sun, and the sun within the moon. They released a dazzling light that instantly exploded in everyone's eyes. Chu Huan didn't have any doubts. He was very confident in Di Tian and could sense the minute changes on the body of the Unity Ancestor. No one was clearer than him about how terrifying the curse arts Di Tian had mastered were. They had to win this battle. Chu Huan was ready to risk everything. Boom, boom, boom. The terrifying shockwaves spread out from the position of the old ancestor of the Union God. Within sight, all the buildings were turned into dust and the entire battlefield was covered. The last few 100,000 miles had turned into a no-man's land. The experts who were watching from the void suffered a calamity this time. They were forcefully obliterated by the curse technique. Not even their bones were left. Those who were lucky enough to survive. His face was filled with fear. This was a nightmare that he would never forget for the rest of his life. Even the giant powerhouses were filled with shock. If one took a closer look, they would see that their bodies were trembling slightly. This was something that would only be revealed in extremely dangerous situations. What a terrifying sun-moon double kill. The combination of these two powers will result in destruction. Just now, there was a half-step giant who was directly killed. That unwillingness in his eyes was too terrifying, no matter who it was. When he looked at Chu Huan in the sky again, he was filled with fear. From this moment onwards, regardless of victory or defeat, cursed joy had left a strong impression in everyone's hearts. From now on, no one would dare to say that the cursed palace didn't have any powerhouses. What a great sun and moon double kill! Cough, cough! It was still in the same position. Old ancestor. He seemed to be in a terrible state. There was a trace of blood at the corner of his lips, and his face was a little pale. Anyone could tell that he was an unparalleled expert. Finally, he was injured by Curse Huan, even though she knew that Di Tian had helped her. Chu Huan was still very excited. She suppressed her excitement. "Thank you for letting me win." Chu Huan cupped her hands. "He's actually injured? How is this possible?" The Six Directions Divine Lord was dumbfounded. The Unity Ancestor is an unparalleled realm. Could curse arts really be that powerful? This outcome was completely beyond the Six Combination Divine Lord's expectations. He frowned slightly. He knew that news of this would spread very quickly. The sacred world would soon have another palace, Lord Incantation. This was definitely something big. The Six Directions Divine Lord was shocked. The others were the same. They were almost speechless. The entire place was silent. No one would have thought that the joyful Curse Palace Lord was so powerful that he could actually injure the unparalleled old ancestor He. It was the same logic as the sun rising from the west. The sect leader of the Unity sect, Yangzi, looked at the old ancestor in disbelief. He muttered to himself, "The old ancestor is actually injured." The Unity sect, who had all sorts of expectations, felt as if they had been smacked in the head. Their heads were spinning. That was an unparalleled old ancestor. He was a peak existence that could easily defeat a giant. Palace Lord Incantation, let's go. Lin Fei, who was far away, carefully transmitted his voice. He did not expect that the joyful Curse Palace Lord would be so powerful that he could injure the old ancestor He. It seemed like he had gone too far. He had already killed him, established his dominance, and plundered the resources. If he did not leave now, then when would he? Retreat. Joyful Curse was not naive enough to think that he was very powerful just because he was heavily injured. In reality, Di Tian was helping him. He believed that the battle today would soon spread throughout the sacred world. No one in the Cloud Prefecture world would dare to look down on the Curse Palace anymore. With a command, the people who were fighting all retreated. On this point, Lin Fei was very cooperative with Palace Lord Incantation. In the eyes of others, they would think that it was the power of the Curse Palace. Joyful Curse did not mind others misunderstanding it. Fake and real, real and fake. This was one of the arts of war. Hua hua hua. Everyone retreated quickly, like flowing water. Today I have vented my anger. I forgive the Unity sect for killing my disciples. Joyful Curse looked at the old ancestor. If the old ancestor is not satisfied, you can come to the Curse Palace. I am not afraid of trouble. Joyful Curse turned around and left. Old ancestor, you can't let them leave. Yangzi flew up. His eyes were filled with unwillingness. He did not know why the old ancestor did not stop them from leaving. The old ancestor, he did not make a move. He watched them leave with a calm expression. You can handle the aftermath of the sect. Come and see me when you are done." Yangzi watched the old ancestor disappear in front of him. His heart was filled with questions. What exactly is going on? Cough, cough, cough. In the forbidden ground of the Unity sect, layers of arrays were set up in the sky. Even the 6 directions, Saint Lord was unable to spy on everything in the forbidden ground. The old ancestor, he appeared once again and spat out a few mouthfuls of blood. The blood was green in color and corroded the limestone the moment it landed on the ground. His face revealed a painful expression. Such powerful and terrifying curse arts. When did the Curse Palace have such an expert? The painful expression on his face turned into a malevolent one. He took out a bottle of elixir and poured it all into his mouth. The old ancestor, it didn't dare to give chase as he was afraid that the expert in the dark would ambush him. The other party was the true unparalleled expert in curse arts. 3 types of curse arts had caused his combat strength to plummet. He was at the weakest point in his life. He didn't dare to imagine that such a thing would happen to him. Even though he was helpless to let the other party leave, he could only endure the fact that he might be ambushed by an unparalleled expert. This old man will definitely take revenge. Fortunately, the old ancestor did not chase after us. Lin Fei was the last to leave the scene. Master doesn't have to be so worried. The old ancestor, he should be frightened by now. He definitely won't take the risk to chase after Curse Palace Mistress. The little devil didn't think much of it. He is now suspecting that Master is an unparalleled expert. Actually, when Lin Fei thought of this, he was shocked by the strength of the source energy. It could really affect unparalleled experts. It seems like I still have to make some preparations.